Chapter 316. Youngest aunt left. She left suddenly and naturally. The fire when she was young destroyed her bodily functions. Her hair, skin, flesh, bones, and internal organs were all seriously damaged. She could hold on until now only because of the hatred in her heart and the expensive medicine provided by the Lu family to help prolong her life. Because of Fang Yan's intervention, they defeated the Lu family's devouring and tore a big piece of fat out of Long Tu group. Now Lu Chaoga cooperated with the Qin family, and also united with the Lan family and the Lu family to carry out distribution channels. Her business was thriving, and it was just a matter of time before she surpassed Long Tu. The strength in her heart dissipated, and her physical condition plummeted. She could no longer stand up. When Fang Yan felt her pulse for the first time, he knew that the problem was serious, but he couldn't bear to tell the truth to Lu Chaoga. After prescribing the medicine, he didn't even dare to visit youngest aunt again. There was no mourning hall, no memorial service, not even an obituary notice. Because, except for Fang Yan, Lu Chaoga really couldn't think of anyone else to tell to say goodbye to the body. Youngest aunt's body was cremated in Mayan Hospital, and the body became a pot of ashes. All the procedures were run by Fang Yan, and everything was done by Fang Yan. Lu Chaoga didn't say a word, didn't express any attitude, and let Fang Yan take full responsibility. Choosing the day, buying the tomb, making the stone tablet, and finally burying the body, Fang Yan worked hard alone. When the coffin was closed, when the workers painted the tomb wall, the funeral was finished. For a job, it was trivial and tedious, but for a life to death, it was extremely simple. Lu Chaoga stood in front of the tomb, her eyes red, and her body as straight as a spear. She didn't say a word or eat anything for 2 days. Under Fang Yan's pressure, she drank a glass of juice and a few mouthfuls of water. There were no tears, no sadness, and she was as cold as a genetic person. However, the more she was like this, the more worried Fang Yan was. For the current Lu Chaoga, he probably wouldn't even be able to cry, right? As the winter deepened, the sky turned gray. Everyone's gloomy mood was once again covered by a thick layer of dust. Lu Chaoga, who was standing in the depths of the graveyard, looked lonely and pitiful. There was a stark contrast between the rows of dead people and the living. There was a small white flower embroidered on the black suit jacket. The white flower rustled in the wind as if it could fly away at any time. In the end, the little flower was still unwilling to be bound. Just as it was about to be blown away by the wind, Lu Chaoga struck like lightning. Then, she held the little flower in her palm. Fang Yan knew that Lu Chaoga did not know martial arts, but in that instant, her speed was unbelievably fast. Fang Yan walked behind Lu Chaoga and said, "Auntie has already been laid to rest. Let's not disturb her. Let her rest well. It's going to rain. Let's go back." Lu Chaoga did not respond. She held the white flower tightly in her palm as if she was holding the most precious thing in her hand. "Why don't you cry for a while, then we'll go back," Fang Yan persuaded. "I heard that it's inauspicious if no one cries when the elderly pass away, and the elderly also feel that they have lost face." Not knowing whether it was because Lu Chaoga's emotions had reached the extreme and caused her to break down, or because she heard Fang Yan's persuasion, she was worried that her auntie would be looked down upon after she passed away. Wah! Lu Chaoga really cried. She couldn't stop crying. She cried her heart out. She cried hysterically. She cried until the cuckoo was bleeding. She cried until she was about to stop breathing. Her body was no longer straight. She could not stand steadily. She simply sat down in front of the tombstone, trying to vent all the grievances and grief in her heart. Not only the death of her auntie, but also the death of her father, mother, the disaster that happened to her family, the extremely depressed life when she was a child, the danger in her enemy's house, and the intimate battle of wits and courage that she pretended to not know anything. From a girl to a woman, she was really too tired in the past 20 years. Perhaps the heavens were infected by her sadness. The gray clouds began to roll, and the cold wind began to howl. There was no brewing of rain, no warning of the first drop of rain. Suddenly, the downpour poured down, making it impossible to avoid, impossible to guard against. The crying was loud, and the wind and rain were wild. The sky was dark, and the heart of the loved ones was broken. After venting her anger, it was easy to fall sick after being hit by the cold wind and rain. Fang Yen did not dare to let Lu Chaoge go on like this. He hurriedly rushed over and picked her up from the ground, running towards the car in the distance. Lu Chaoge was still sick. Her fever was 39 degrees, 40 degrees, 41 degrees. Her body was burning like a stove of charcoal, and Fang Yen tried his best to help her reduce the fever. She was also talking nonsense, saying some things that she had never said in front of others. She shouted, "Mom, where are you? Mom, why haven't you come to pick me up? School has already ended," she shouted. "Dad, don't hide, I saw you," she cried while talking nonsense. Her body twisted and rolled, she punched and kicked, and even bit with her teeth. The wind and rain stopped, and a rare round moon appeared in the sky. Fang Yen sat on the bed, and Lu Chaoge finally fell asleep. Lu Chaoge's fever finally subsided after the combination of medicine and physical cooling. Fang Yen did not sleep for the entire night. His heart felt like it was weighed down by a heavy rock. This strong, intelligent, and even cruel woman, from now on, she would have no relatives in this world, right? Just as she said, she had accepted the fate of being an orphan. It was unknown how much tears and courage it took to make such a decision. But her aunt came out again. She clung to it like a life-saving straw, but God was joking with her. They didn't even have time to get along well, they couldn't communicate normally, she couldn't accompany her all day, and she couldn't take care of her when she was old. She left. The saddest thing was not the despair at the beginning, but giving you hope, and then taking it away without warning. Still leaning on the sleepless night, watching the stars in the sky, still hearing the violins sobbing and teasing, "Why is there only a crescent moon in my sky after this night? There is no news, people are like the bright moon in the sky, they can't have." Fang Yen hummed a song softly. It was one of the songs he didn't know how to sing. He didn't know why he suddenly thought of it, and he sang it so naturally. Maybe it was a sweet dream, or maybe it was because she heard Fang Yan's song. Lu Chaoge's frowning brows slowly relaxed, and her face became peaceful. When Lu Chaoge opened her eyes, the room was dark. When she saw a ray of light in the corner of the window, she realized that the sky was already bright, but the curtains were too effective. There was a slight noise outside, and the smell of cooked corn came in. She stared at the ceiling, quietly enjoying this moment of peace and happiness. Only when someone is with you is home. Living alone can only be called a house. The door of the room was gently pushed open. Fang Yen tiptoed in, and happened to meet Lu Chaoge's eyes. Fang Yen was a bit embarrassed and said, "I came in to see if you're awake." He walked to Lu Chaoge's bedside, touched her forehead with the back of his hand, and said, "The fever is gone, I gave you some anti-inflammatory medicine, it shouldn't relapse." He then walked to the window and pulled the curtains, and the curtains automatically closed. Fang Yen said with a smile, "Last night, I tried my best to pull the curtains, then I realized that they would close by themselves with a light touch. They're electric, these things are too advanced, I've never seen them before." Lu Chaoge didn't laugh, she just quietly looked at Fang Yen. She watched him walk over with a smile on his face, watched him touch her forehead with the back of his hand, watched him close the curtains, watched him tell jokes that weren't funny. Fang Yen saw Lu Chaoge's dull expression, so he walked over and asked worriedly, "Are you okay? Do you feel uncomfortable?" Lu Chaoge stared at Fang Yen with wide eyes, and called out, "Fang Yen, you know who I am, which means you haven't lost your mind from the fever." Fang Yen said with a smile, "How do you feel? Do you feel uncomfortable anywhere? I've made you some corn porridge. Get up and eat something, then drink the medicine I've made. Your body is too weak, you need to eat a few tonics to replenish your vitality." Fang Yen. Lu Chaoge called Fang Yan's name again. Fang Yen looked at Lu Chaoge and said, "Go ahead, I'm listening. I'm listening very seriously." "Auntie has left." "Yes," Fang Yen nodded. "Gone. In this world I don't have a family anymore," Lu Chaoge said. "When I'm sad, I don't know who to talk to. When I'm happy, I don't know who to share it with. Even if I make Chaoyan technology the world's #1, I don't even know who I'm trying to prove my ability to. I don't know what's the point of living." Fang Yen was anxious and shouted sternly, "Lu Chaoge, I'm warning you, don't let your imagination run wild. Auntie is gone, But you still have me, Rosefinch's students, your colleagues at Chaoyan Technology, and your career. When you're sad, you can talk to me, and when you're happy, you can share it with me. Chaoyan Technology is your career, and it's also my career. If you make it the first in your career, you'll help me make it the first in my career. You'll prove your ability to the world and also prove my ability to me, so, you must live. You must live well. Lu Chaoga nodded and said, when I'm sad, I'll talk to you, and when I'm happy, I'll share it with you. I'll help you make Chaoyan Technology the world's #1. Is the corn porridge ready? I smell it. Lu Chaoga got up from the bed and walked to the bathroom in her slippers. Fang Yan stood there in a daze. Something seemed wrong. Chapter 317. Fang Yan's cooking skills were average, but he was good at making porridge. Of course, this was also because he didn't have a better comparison. Lu Chaoga drank 2 bowls of thick corn porridge in a row, not even touching the appetizers that Fang Yan had carefully prepared. After 2 bowls of porridge, Lu Chaoga's pale face became a bit rosier. She wiped her mouth with a napkin and said, when you're done, I have something to talk to you about. Go ahead, I'll listen as I eat, just treat it as a side dish, Fang Yan said. I want revenge, Lu Chaoga said. What? Fang Yan put down the bowl of porridge in his hand and asked aloud. I want revenge, Lu Chaoga said again. Her face was calm and her tone was cold. It seemed that she had already made up her mind. Revenge against who? Auntie died early because of the car accident and the fire after the car accident. Otherwise, Auntie would have a completely different life. She was a very talented energy expert. Maybe she could have gotten more results in the energy field. She was very beautiful when she was young. There would have been many excellent men who liked her. If she had found a man she liked and married, her child would be about the same age as me by now, but her life became like this. Because of the death of my parents, because of the change in our family, her entire life was ruined. Her body was burned, her face was burned to a tattered state, and there was nothing else in her life except hatred. Her only motivation in life was revenge. And my father, they were killed when they were traveling abroad. Many things that happened later proved that it was a murder. Someone didn't want them to come back, so they bribed a hitman to keep them here. Should I just let them die in a foreign land? Let them die with everlasting regret? What do you want to do? Fang Yan asked in a low voice. All these years, I've been running and retreating because I don't have the ability, because I'm not strong enough to fight against them. At that time, I only wanted to live, because only by living would I have a chance, and only by living could I avenge them. I survived and I'm doing pretty well now. Although Chaoyan Technology is a new technology company, because we have our own technology, our products are unique in the world. We are working with the best companies in the world. I am confident that we can help them surpass Long2 in 2 years or even less. We will make them the #1 in Huaqing and Huaxia. I don't want to wait any longer. I can't wait any longer. I want revenge. I want to declare war on the Jiang family. No negotiations, no apologies, no bargaining for compensation. I just want blood for blood. Lu Xiaoga's words were resolute and decisive, powerful and resonating. Her body was still weak, but her soul was incomparably tough. She sat there quietly. Her huge aura spread to the surroundings, making it difficult for people to breathe and make their hearts beat faster. It made people's hair stand on end. She wanted to kill someone. Fang Yan was silent for a long time. He looked at Lu Chaoga with a straight face and said, I understand what you mean, and I can also understand your feelings. I can't persuade you, I'm in no position to persuade you. If it was my family that encountered such a thing, I might become even more stubborn and crazy than you. A woman who wants to avenge her parents and aunt, am I supposed to hold her hand and tell her to make peace? I don't believe in God, and forgiveness is what God should do. But what I want to say is, I don't want to see you become a slave to hatred. I don't want you to become a second aunt. She did a lot of things that she shouldn't have done even though she had no choice. I hope you can remain rational, and I even hope you can maintain a kind heart. You are still Lu Chaoga, the previous Lu Chaoga. The killing intent in Lu Chaoga's eyes dissipated. She looked at Fang Yan with a gentle voice and said, I'll listen to you. Fang Yen stood by the roadside and waited for half an hour. After failing to successfully stop a taxi, he began to wonder if he should buy a car in Huaqing. Although the traffic jam during rush hour was like constipation, at least he was constipated in the car instead of standing by the roadside and watching others constipated. Moreover, he also had to absorb a large amount of exhaust gas from the car. It was much better. Why should he breathe in the exhaust gas emitted by others? Fang Yen even missed Baldy's battery-powered car. It felt very dangerous when he sat on it, but Baldy was right about one thing. They didn't have to worry about traffic jams. The final exams were getting closer and closer, and the students' enthusiasm for learning was getting higher and higher. Last time, Fang Yen made a bet with Zhang Yu, the language teacher of Class 1, that Class 9 would beat Class 1 and become the first in the class. This time, they had to face the battle of revenge against Class 1, and the other classes were also scrambling to surpass them. The students of Class 9 were facing great pressure. Last time, they had surpassed Class 1, and they didn't want their first place to be taken away again after such a short period of time. Previously, there were many chores, so Fang Yen repeatedly applied for leave. Several language classes were taught by the school administration office on behalf of other language teachers. In the last month, Fang Yen put all his attention on the students of Class 9. Even the students wanted to win the championship again and get better results. How could he, the homeroom teacher and language teacher, drag his students down? At the end of the last class, when Fang Yen was carrying his books and preparing to end class, a student in the classroom suddenly asked, "Mr. Fang, what if we can't surpass Class 1 in this exam?" Fang Yen retracted his steps and looked at the smiling students below the stage. He said, "Then we'll wait until next time to surpass them." "What if we can't surpass them next time?" "Your life has just begun. You still have a lifetime left," Fang Yen said. "You can use it to surpass your opponents, and you can also do what you like. Here, I never judge heroes by their results." The students applauded happily. They felt that teacher Fang Yen was the greatest, kindest, and most understanding teacher in the world. He was also a teacher with great wisdom. "Then how do you judge heroes?" someone asked. "Success or failure?" In the midst of everyone's anticipation and apprehension, the final exam finally ended. Class 9 obtained first place in the language subjects of Rosefinch High School and first place in the whole of Huaqing. Overall, they ranked second in Rosefinch High School and top 10 in Huaqing. This was a miracle for a class that could only be considered average in the past. Even Zhang Xiaofeng was wild with joy when he received the city's ranking list. He personally called Fang Yen to congratulate him. He also said that Fang Yan's Fang family teaching method would be promoted to the whole school after the new year. This time, no one could deny Fang Yan's ability and results just because he was young. Because of his participation, the students' enthusiasm for learning was increased. They were the practitioners of language knowledge, and their enthusiasm for learning other subjects was also in the forefront of the whole school. Many teachers said that the students of Class 9 were easier to teach than the students of other classes. Their ability to understand was especially strong, and the way they thought about problems was very unique. When the school held a commendation ceremony, Principal Zhang Xiaofeng requested Fang Yen to speak at the ceremony, but Fang Yen rejected. Therefore, everyone praised Fang Yen for his noble character and unquestionable integrity. He was not arrogant or complacent with his results, and was a humble and low-key good teacher. Fang Yen did not participate in the school's commendation ceremony. Instead, he chose to go shopping with Lu Chaoge. It should be said that Lu Chaoge helped him make the choice. Because Lu Chaoge was on the board of directors of Rosefinch High School, she had the power to appoint people in the school. Even the principal could be persuaded with a word. Most importantly, when his aunt left, Fang Yen promised her that she could talk to him when she was unhappy and share with him when she was happy. Therefore, during this period of time, Lu Chaoge was happy 5 times and unhappy 11 times. This time, Fang Yen did not ask Lu Chaoge if she wanted to talk or share. Anyway, he just needed to be by her side. Lu Chaoge drove and parked the car at the biggest and most luxurious Oriental shopping mall in Huaqing. Then, she brought Fang Yen into the Oriental shopping mall. "What are we buying?" Fang Yen asked. "A gift." "What gift?" Aren't you going home for the spring festival? We have to bring some gifts back, Lu Chaoga said. She took out a piece of paper from her pocket. It was filled with beautiful handwriting and said, I've already picked out the gifts. I'm going to buy some paintings by Zhang Xinjie for your dad. You said that he likes paintings, and Zhang Xinjie's fame is just starting to rise, but his painting skills are amazing and worth collecting. I'm going to buy a few boxes of essential oils for your mom. It can protect her body and skin when she showers. I don't need to care about Grandpa's gifts. You said that you prepared some ambergris for him, and the old drunkard, Uncle Mo. I've already asked someone to get him a few bottles of Maotai liquor from when the Maotai liquor factory was first established. It's very rare now. Fang Yen sighed softly. She remembered everything he said. She didn't forget any of her family members. Actually, there's no need to go through so much trouble, Fang Yen said. It's not troublesome, it's just a bit of filial piety. It's something I've always wanted to do, but I never had the chance. When I thought I had the chance to do it, the heavens took it away, Lu Chaoga said with a sad expression. She then thought about her aunt's departure. Fang Yen hurriedly said, All right, I'll listen to you. Oh yeah, I still have 2 aunts and a little nephew. When Fang Yen and Lu Chaoga were looking for an essential oil store in the mall, they bumped into Jiang Zhulu, who was walking out of an international luxury clothing store. Fang Yen and Jiang Zhulio's eyes met, then they pointed at each other and laughed. Chapter 318. Do you like the campus bell? No, I don't. Do you like the campus bell? Why would I like a flat-chested woman? Downstairs from the campus bell's dorm, 2 brothers holding roses miraculously met, then pointed at each other and laughed. Everything was said without words. Fang Yen and Jiang Zhulio's laughter contained this meaning. Jiang Zhulu looked at Fang Yen with a smile and said, I suspected that you two were having an affair, but you didn't want to admit it. Now I've caught you red-handed, haven't I? Previously, you said that the woman you liked the most was Lu Zhaoga. You also said that she was your heart, your liver, the air you breathed, and the ground under your feet. In the blink of an eye, you are holding hands with another woman and going shopping? Fang Yen glanced at the woman who was holding onto Jiang Zhulio's arm. He was a little puzzled. This woman looked a little familiar. Jiang Zhulio's smile didn't change, and he said in a gentle and sincere voice, I did say that. Not only me, but my parents also firmly believed that Lu Chaoga and I would become an enviable couple, and that we would be together in the end. It's just that Chaoga misunderstood my family too much, and I wasn't charming enough to win her heart. So, I could only regretfully give up on this relationship. Chaoga is a good woman, and you're a lucky guy. I don't want to, but I still have to congratulate you. Looking at Lu Chaoga, who was standing behind Fang Yen, Jiang Zhulu took the initiative to greet her. Chaoga, how have you been? Not very good, Lu Chaoga said coldly. She knew the Jiang father and son. They pretended to be gentlemen, but deep down, they were man-eating wolves. She didn't even have the slightest interest in brushing off such a beast in human clothing. You've lost some weight. You need to drink more soup, Jiang Zhulu said with concern. He looked at Fang Yen and said, I've always treated Chaoga as my family. You can't let her suffer. Otherwise, I won't let you go. Of course not. Fang Yen nodded seriously. You, who treated her like family, made her suffer a lot. She scolded you and your father in her nightmares at night. The smile on Jiang Zhulio's face gradually faded. This guy really didn't know how to chat. Who would directly slap someone in the face like that? But you don't have to worry about it. Fang Yen comforted her. Scolding won't hurt you, and it won't shorten your lifespan. Even if she scolds you, you and your dad will still be healthy and active. You can still go shopping with a beautiful and sexy girl in your arms. You won't be affected at all. Don't you think so? I've long heard that Mr. Fang has a sharp tongue. Now that I've seen him today, he lives up to his reputation. Jiang Zhulio's female companion mocked him. However, men with sharp mouths don't have any great achievements. Men who are unknown to the public are able to make people's hearts move when they amaze the world with a single brilliant feat. Mr. Fang, please be careful with your words. I'm already the most outstanding language teacher in our school at such a young age. Why don't I have any great achievements? Fang Yan's gaze shifted to her face and he said, "Miss, if I remember correctly, we've met before?" "At the entrance of Maya Hospital," the woman said. "I remember now." Fang Yan smiled and said, "Miss, your sports car was too fast. I didn't have time to thank you." "It was nothing," the woman said. She was the beautiful woman who had swiped her black card at Maya Hospital and pleaded for Fang Yan to let Fang Yan in. At that time, she was wearing a pair of sunglasses that covered half of her face. Her burgundy hair was slightly curled, but today, it was tied up on top of her head in a more dignified manner. Fang Yan only felt that she looked familiar, but he couldn't remember where he had seen her before. What was her relationship with Jiang Zhulu? "My fiancé is Jiang Shangxin." Jiang Zhulu introduced politely. "We're getting engaged in 2 days. Both of you can come to our engagement party if you have time. We'll send you an invitation then." "Jiang Shangxin?" Fang Yan's eyes narrowed. He smiled and said, "Just from the name, I thought that it had something to do with an idiot named Jiang Junling that I know. However, Miss Jiang Shangxin is so smart and kind. You wouldn't know such a jerk, right?" As Shangxin knitted her eyebrows, there was already a hint of anger on her face. She said, "The idiot called General Ling that you are talking about is my cousin." "You guys know each other?" Fang Yan was shocked. "I'm really sorry. If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have told you the truth. Actually, he's not as bad as I said. Although he's a little stupid, his looks are average. It seems like we can't see eye to eye." Jiang Zhulu wrapped his arms around Jiang Shangxin's waist and said, "See you again if fate allows it." Jiang Shangxin looked at Fang Yan thoughtfully and the two of them turned to leave. Looking at their backs, Fang Yan sighed softly and said, "Didn't you say that you wanted to declare war on the Jiang family and take revenge on them? Why didn't you say so just now?" "I'm going to tell them after I defeat them," Lu Chaoge said. "The Jiang family is starting to retaliate. We've roped in the Gu family and allied with the Lu family. The Jiang family feels that the situation isn't good. They have less and less space to move around in Huaqing, so they chose to form a marriage alliance with the Jiang family. Since ancient times, forming a marriage alliance has never been a good move. However, it's the Jiang family's only lifeline now." Lu Chaoge analyzed and said. Fang Yan sneered and said, "It's natural for the Jiang family to seek help when they sense danger. Qiang Long Tan would be too disappointing if they remain indifferent under such a situation. However, why did the Jiang family want to form a marriage alliance with them? The Jiang family won't sense any danger, so who can threaten them? They're not resigned to it." Lu Chaoge said, "Perhaps they still want to plant a chess piece in Huaqing. It seems like we should meet with our close partner again. Perhaps we can get some answers from him," Fang Yan said. Lu Chaoge looked at Fang Yan and said, "I'll go buy some things. You go talk to him." Fang Yan knew that Lu Chaoge didn't like to see him. If he had a choice, Fang Yan wouldn't want to see him either. He was ugly and had a vicious heart. This kind of person was filled with negative energy. After meeting him, people's moods would be in a gloomy state for a long time. Because they had coincidentally met Jiang Zhulu, the two of them had to split their things as soon as they entered the mall. Lu Chaoge continued to buy things with the small piece of paper, while Fang Yan took out his phone and made a call. "I know a tea house that serves pretty good tea," Fang Yan said to the other end of the phone. Cool Breeze Tea House. After Duan Yujun personally brewed tea for the guests, he greeted Fang Yan and quietly left the room. Fang Yan looked at Lu Shu, who was sitting opposite him, and said, "There are no outsiders now. Take off that mask on your face. Aren't you afraid of getting heat rash?" "I thought you wouldn't like my face," Lu Shu said with a smile. As he spoke, he reached out to take off the wolf mask and put it on the table. Thus, his face, which was crisscrossed with countless wounds, was exposed in front of Fang Yan. Fang Yan held the teacup and drank tea, admiring the net-like pattern on his face, and said, "Do you think I'll feel guilty? I won't. Based on what you've done, even if you're hacked into pieces, I'll still give you a discount. This is what you deserve. I'm just getting rid of evil for the people. To tell you the truth, I'm not afraid of looking at it. I like looking at it because it gives me a sense of accomplishment. Recently, my saber skills have improved again. Do you want me to try it on other parts of your body? Not at the moment. Then I'll let Jiang Zhulu have it. Fang Yan had a look of, I feel sorry for you. I saw him just now. He was shopping with a little beauty. She looked even better than the last time we met. People who don't know you will definitely think that you're a good person, Lu Shu said with a strange smile. But, after getting to know you, they'll know that you're much more vicious than us. We still care about decency, but you don't care about anything. If you say that, I'll take it as a compliment, Fang Yan said with a smile. But the biggest difference between me and you guys is that I'm on the side of justice. Think about it, when did I ever take the initiative to harm others? When have I ever forcefully taken someone else's things for my own benefit? I didn't, right? Who doesn't rob others of their wealth? If you can't protect it, I'll help you protect it. It's a very normal thing. I don't care about other people. I'm not trying to protect other people. I just happen to know Lu Chaoga, and you just happen to fall into my hands. I can only say that you're unlucky. Maybe it's a little stupid to say this, but I really want to know whose hands you'll fall into, Lu Shu said. They all say that you've never lost before, but I don't believe them. How can a person never lose in his entire life? So, I have to try my best to live. I want to see who will win in the end. Then I wish you a long life, Fang Yan said. Do you know that Jiang Zhulu is getting engaged? I've already received the invitation, Lu Shu said. Jiang Shangxin is a core member of the Jiang family. Jiang Shangxin's father is Jiang Junling's uncle. Of course, this uncle isn't his father's biological brother. The Jiang family seems to want to warn Huaqing by marrying her to Jiang Zhulu. I'm protecting this family, so don't act rashly. It can't be that simple, right? Fang Yan said with a smile. Of course, Lu Shu said. What's the Jiang family? To a wealthy family like the Jiang family, they'll just kick away a useless dog. They're helping the Jiang family to be a nail in their coffin. As long as the Jiang family doesn't fall in Huaqing, they'll have a chance eventually. Their target is the Rubik's Cube? It can only be the Rubik's Cube. Now, everyone is staring at the Rubik's Cube. Lu Shu grinned. Chapter 319. What was the most profitable industry in the next era? Energy and health. Everyone wanted to live, and everyone wanted to live to 100 years old. However, the food was becoming more and more unhealthy, the air was becoming more and more dirty, the high-intensity work pressure, the lack of exercise, and various diseases and even cancer were on the rise. At that time, hospitals and pharmaceutical factories engaged in the health industry would become the richest group in the world. People naturally needed to eat, drink, and poop. If they wanted to eat and drink well, they needed an energy supply. However, everyone knew that now every country was facing an energy crisis. Everyone was thinking of ways to create recyclable energy or renewable energy. At that time, the practitioners in the energy industry would also be the winners of the world. They would even affect the economic lifeline of a country and gain the right to speak on a global scale. Whoever had more energy would have the right to speak. Controlling the life and death of others, how could other people resist? The Rubik's Cube happened to be a recyclable energy source that could be used on a large scale. Take the two products that Chaoyan Research Institute had now come up with as an example. When the plan matured and the product matured, if it was put on the market, it would produce a fuel revolution in the automotive and even aerospace fields. Renewable energy replacing non-renewable fuel, what kind of earth-shaking change would this bring to Huaxia? Oh, the whole world. Lu Mingtu and his wife were the creators of the Rubik's Cube, but they died inexplicably in a foreign country. How many people died fighting for the Rubik's Cube? Marx said in Capital, once there is a proper profit, capital will be bold. If there is a 10% profit, it will be guaranteed to be used everywhere. If there is a 20% profit, it will be active. If there is a 50% profit, it will take risks. For a 100% profit, it will dare to trample on all human laws. If there is a 300% profit, it will dare to commit any crime, even at the risk of being hanged. The profit of the Rubik's Cube was more than 100 times or 1,000 times. It was possible to be 10,000 times or even 100,000 times. The more tenacious human life was, the more huge its profit was, endless. Therefore, Lu Shu, who was sitting opposite Fang Yan, killed his brother with his own hands. You people are all slaves to money. Fang Yan said viciously. Don't you like money? Lu Shu asked. I am the grandson of money, Fang Yan said. Money's grandson also had money's bloodline. Lu Shu and the other slaves had to call him young master. He was really a guy who never forgot to take advantage of others. Everyone wants to live. Everyone wants to live a better life, said the willow tree. With a knife in your hand, it's inevitable that your clothes will be stained with blood. If you talk about the rules with someone, and they stab you, don't you think it's a loss? I won't listen to your twisted theories. I believe that even if I don't use a knife on my hand or stain my clothes with blood, I can still make money. If you don't use a knife, others will. If you don't get stained with blood, others will. Lu Chaoga is scheming and scheming. Are you sure she hasn't done anything in secret that you can't accept? I'm sure she won't, Fang Yan said. You trust her that much? It's better than trusting you. Lu Shu smiled and didn't get angry. He said, the Jiang family wants to cling to someone to protect themselves. This kind of thing is understandable. But why would the Jiang family extend their thigh for them to cling to? You asked me to come here because you still don't understand the Jiang family's actions, right? The Rubik's Cube is a money tree. Everyone wants to take a few branches or roots away. I know that the Jiang family has their eyes on Huaqing. Naturally, it's for the Rubik's Cube. They're alone in Huaqing. They have to worry about you local tyrants joining forces to attack them. I can understand that they want to support a local force for their own use. I'm just curious, what did they ask you to do in the past? The willow tree hesitated for a moment before answering frankly, everything I've done is because I was instructed by them. As long as I can get the Rubik's Cube technology from Lu Chaoga or her aunt, they will share it with us, the Lu family. Is this fair to you? Of course it's not fair, said the willow tree. We charge and break through enemy lines, while they sit back and enjoy the fruits of our labor. How could this be a fair deal? But who told them to be the Jiang family? If we didn't have their support, how could we get what we want from that old fox, Qiang Long Tan? Jiang Zhulu is nothing to be afraid of. Qiang Long Tan, you should have heard of the story of the yellow ox and the dog, right? It's really vivid. Later, we found out that the Rubik's Cube wasn't even in Longtu Group. It wasn't even in the hands of the Jiang family's father and son. That's why they say that women are born actors. That woman suffered so much, and even when she was on the brink of death, she clenched her teeth and kept this secret. You participated in the incident at 10 feet abyss? Fang Yan asked with a chuckle. I know that you had a conflict with the Jiang family at 10 feet abyss. His right-hand man, the king of Xing Yi, Bao Shi, lost to you. His other trump card, the hanged ghost fisherman, also said that your Tai Chi skill had reached the level of mastery. It would be difficult to win, and even if you did, it would be a Pyrrhic victory. He's an honest man, Fang Yan said with a smile. I heard that you were attacked again. You were shot in the chest, and that woman has been missing since that night. Later on, I heard that the woman is the young lady of the Qin family, Qin Yigan. She said that Jiang Junling's adopted daughter must be Qin Yitian's son, Qin Yitian. Crack. The teacup in Fang Yan's hand cracked, and then turned into a pile of ashes in his palm. What was even more amazing was that not a single drop of tea fell from the teacup. All the tea melted in his palm and turned into a puff of white smoke. What else do you know? Fang Yan asked. You care about her a lot? The willow tree looked at Fang Yan thoughtfully. She's very important to you, right? We've known each other for a long time, but this is the first time I've seen you so angry. She took a bullet for me, Fang Yan said. The willow tree made a sound of envy. Of course, it could also be a taunt. But from Fang Yan's point of view, what right did he have to taunt him? Letting a woman with such a background take a bullet for you? Am I listening to a modern version of the story of the princess and the hunter? What does Jiang Junling have to do with the armory? Their names are probably 3 words, and they both have the word military in their names. That's all I know. I'm 80% sure that they're connected. Those assassins were sent by Jiang Junling. Then he's really powerful. God knows if it's a good thing for me to cooperate with you. You have no way out. Fang Yan sneered. You relied on the distribution rights of the Rubik's Cube to gain the family's acceptance and attention. If we take back the rights, you'll have nothing. You'll be worse than the most pitiful beggar. Are you really a teacher? The willow tree shook its head. You're a devil teacher, right? Of course. Moreover, he is the most outstanding one, Fang Yan said. Just how powerful is the Jiang family? This question. The willow tree fell into deep thought. I've also asked my father. What did he say? He said he also asked my grandpa. Fang Yan stood up and said, remember to pay for the tea when you leave. I heard you're going back to Yanjing? The willow tree shouted. Fang Yan turned to look at the willow tree and asked, do you have a different opinion? It's just a friendly reminder. Just like you said, I have no way out. God knows what kind of crazy things that Lu woman will do if you die. So, I can only pray that you're alive and well. You can't go back to Yanjing. Because of the Jiang family? Because of the Jiang family. The willow tree said with a serious expression. I don't know how powerful the Jiang family is. Maybe even my grandpa doesn't know. But they're the most powerful family in Huaxia. There's no doubt about that. What we see and what the outside world sees is only the tip of the iceberg. Hidden in the city, have you ever heard of such a family before? Of course, they didn't know of your existence before. Now, especially after experiencing so many things in Huaqing, do you think you can still live if you go back to Yanjing where they firmly control the territory? Do you think I won't go back because they're too powerful? Fang Yan said with a smile. Take a step back and you'll see the world. After a few years of accumulation, maybe you'll have the strength to challenge them. Or, Miss Qin is willing to take a bullet for you and marry you. If you can enter the Qin family's gate, the Jiang family won't dare to act rashly. From the willow tree's point of view, he indeed hoped that Fang Yan and Miss Qin would end up together. Because of the conflict between him and Lu Qingming tried to kill him in the end. His weakness was in Fang Yan's hands, so he could only rely on Fang Yan without reservation. If Fang Yan's life was good, his life would also be good. Plus, who wouldn't want to get close to a powerful family like the Qin family? I won't back down, not even a step back. Fang Yan's eyes were firm, and his voice was passionate. My home is in Yanjing, my parents are in Yanjing, my family and friends are all in Yanjing. I want to go home for the holidays, I want to be filial to my parents, I want to drink with my family and friends. My student is there too. She was injured because of me. I want to go back and see how she is. The Jiang family can't stop me. A strange light bloomed on the willow tree's face, and he said, I checked the weather forecast before I came. It's snowing in Yanjing right now. Big people have big scenes, this saying is true. Snowing in Yanjing is for us to go home. Fang Yan laughed. When the time comes, I'll wear a green robe, carry a pot of good wine, listen to the wind and watch the snow, and chop off a few heads to cook. Wouldn't life be great? Chapter 320. Hearing this, Lu Shu's blood was boiling. He had the urge to kowtow. He had always disliked Fang Yan, because he felt that Fang Yan liked to escape, was too cunning, had too much intelligence, but not enough rigidity. However, to be able to say such words, it was enough to show that he was also a heroic warrior with iron bones that could shake the 9 continents, his arrogance soaring to the heavens. When it came to acting cool, Lu Shu was really far inferior. A man in black pushed open the door, stood behind Lu Shu, and said, Young master, we can't trust him. Why? Lu Shu picked up the teapot, poured himself a cup of hot tea, leisurely savored it, and asked aloud. He's not a good person, Lu Shu smiled and said, Do you think I'm a good person? I just feel that we shouldn't place such a heavy bet on him. If we lose, we'll lose everything. When the Lu family is threatened, and there's no profit to be made, they'll throw young master out without hesitation. They've already done that once. Lu Shu turned his body to look at the man in black behind him, and said, Chen Pu, sit down. Let's talk. Other people get scared when they see my face, and very few people are willing to come and talk to me now. Sometimes, finding someone to talk to is an extravagant hope. That's because they're short-sighted. Young master will one day soar to the heavens, Chen Pu firmly said. Lu Shu shook his head and said, I'm not a hidden dragon, I can't soar to the heavens, I just want to try my best to live. Sometimes, living is also a very great thing. If I wait until my good little brother Lu Qingming makes his move, I'm afraid I won't even have a chance to live. This is also the reason why I want to cooperate with Fang Yen. If I don't cooperate with him, if I can't get a part of the profits from the Rubik's Cube, the Lu family, who can tolerate a useless person? Oh, it's more appropriate to call him a monster. When I sat in a wheelchair and swaggered through the streets, the facial muscles of the elders in the family who care about face must be twitching badly, right? We can choose to cooperate with him, but we don't need to place all of our bets on him. How can he go against the Jiang family? Of course he can't go against the Jiang family, Lu Shu said. Jiang Junling is Jiang Junling, and the Jiang family is the Jiang family. Jiang Junling was now using his own power, the power given to him by the Jiang family. However, when the day comes when the generals also treat Fang Yen as an opponent, he will only be crushed into mud. No matter how fierce a tiger is, how can it collide with a tank? What about us? We have no other choice, said the willow tree. After I was heavily injured, Jiang Junling took a look at me and chose my younger brother, Lu Qingming. Lu Qingming is dead, maybe he will change his mind again. Lu Shu looked at Chen Pu sitting across from him and said, Chen Pu, don't let hatred blind your eyes. It's an extremely dangerous thing to do. I know that your family died at his hands. You hate Fang Yen and view him as your mortal enemy. If we're talking about hatred, shouldn't I hate him even more? I am the lover of Huaqing, one of the 4 prodigies of Huaqing, one of the top young masters. Wherever I go, I'm the center of attention. No matter where I sit, there are always beauties throwing themselves at me. He destroyed me. Chen Pu went silent. Compared to the willow tree, his own pain was not even worth mentioning. His family was heavily injured and died, but Lu Shu, he was living a life worse than death. I'm not a good person, and there are no good people in our circle, Lu Shu said. But we need to have our principles. Principles? Chen Pu pondered over the meaning of these 2 words. Jiang Junling had already abandoned me once, kicking me away like a piece of trash. It took me a lot of effort to crawl back up, ignoring everyone's ridicule and standing up like a clown. How could I kneel at his feet again? Every time we betray him, our value decreases by 50%. Betraying him twice in a row, our character becomes negative. When no one dares to take us in, and no one dares to stand up for us again, then we will truly be dead. From our bodies to our souls, we will be completely dead. Then Jiang Junling, he doesn't understand this. He understands. He is the son of Jiang Junling, the son of Jiang Junling. How could he not understand? Lu Shu coldly laughed. His bones were filled with a heart-wrenching hatred. He simply doesn't care about us. In his eyes, we are too insignificant. Kicking him is kicking him, changing him is changing him. Aside from me, there are still countless people kneeling in front of him. Who can hurt him? Young master, what do you mean? I'll bet again. Lu Shu gritted his teeth. Bet that Fang Yen will win? Bet on life and death, Lu Shu answered. If Fang Yen wins, I'll live. If Fang Yen loses, I'll die. Young master, dash, Lu Shu waved his hand dismissively, saying, if I lose twice in a row, then the heavens won't accept me. What's the point of living then? He put down the teacup in his hand and said, push the wheelchair in. Right now I really can't leave it. Chen Pu silently stood up, pushed the wheelchair in from the door, then helped Lu Shu sit on it. Go back, Lu Shu said. Remember to pay for the tea. I'm sure that guy who's talking about cutting off a few heads to go with the wine won't pay for it. Dash, Fang Yen frowned and said, I've already thought about it. I'll take you back to celebrate the New Year with me. What are you doing alone in Huaqing? It's New Year's Eve, everyone else is having a family reunion, but you're here alone. What's the point? Fang Yen was preparing to return to Beijing tomorrow, so before he left, he had a meal with Lu Chaoge and discussed with her about returning to Beijing for the new year. When little aunt left, she entrusted Lu Chaoge to Fang Yen. Although Fang Yen didn't have time to agree or refuse before she left, Fang Yen had already accepted this task in his heart. In fact, Lu Chaoga really didn't need him to take care of her. On the contrary, she needed to take care of herself more. Lu Chaoga carefully cut the steak on the plate and said softly, "I understand your good intentions. To be honest, I'm very happy to hear your invitation. Originally, I wanted to spend this new year with Little Ant in Huaqing, but I didn't expect Little Ant to not be able to make it. Thank you for your invitation. This let me know that I'm not alone in this world. At least there's still someone who cares about me, and someone who's afraid that I'll be alone. But I have to stay." Lu Chaoga's voice was firm. "Chaoyan technology is the biggest reliance for me to take revenge on the Jiang family, and it's also the condensation of all my efforts. The company has just been established this year. Although with the help of the Qin family, it quickly got on the right track. But, after all, it's too young and too weak. At this time, it can't withstand any big storms. The last assassin incident caused panic in the research institute, and it took me a lot of effort to calm them down. Others can do it too. Don't you have an assistant?" "I think that assistant is quite capable," Fang Yen comforted her. "Others can't do it," Lu Chaoga said. "They can maintain the normal operation of the company, but if there's a problem with the company, they don't know how to deal with it. Now is the critical period for the company to produce results. The internal situation is unstable, and there are strong enemies outside. I have to keep one eye open even when I sleep. In the past few months, I've never dared to turn off my phone. How can I leave at this time?" "But I'm worried that you'll be in danger if you're here alone," Fang Yen said. "I'm worried that they'll do something to you when I'm not here." "After you leave, I'll live in the research institute," Lu Chaoga said. After the last incident, the Qin family once again sent people to strengthen the research institute. "As long as I don't go out, no one can hurt me. On the contrary, if I follow you to Yanjing, it'll be more dangerous. Compared to Yanjing, Huaqing is safer. At least, the Lan family and the Lu family don't want anything to happen to me at this time." Fang Yen nodded heavily and said, "I'll tell them again." "Thank you," Lu Chaoga said. After eating and drinking, Lu Chaoga got up to clean up the dishes. After drinking a cup of hot tea, Fang Yen got up to leave. "I'll go back tomorrow," Fang Yen said. "Then you'll have to wait. See you next year." "See you next year." Lu Chaoga, who was wearing a white sweater, sent Fang Yen to the courtyard. The cold air hit her, and she couldn't help but wrap her arms around her chest to get some warmth. Her chest was already very big and full, but when she wrapped her arms around it, they didn't shrink even though they were being squeezed. Instead, they became even more perky, giving people a feeling that they were about to come out. Fang Yen stared at them with his eyes wide open, then looked away with a red face and said, "Then I'll leave. You should go inside, it's cold outside." "Fang Yen," Lu Chaoga called out. Fang Yen turned around and saw Lu Chaoga walking step by step to Fang Yen. She reached out and wrapped her arms around his waist, then leaned her head on his shoulder. With a warm and soft body in his arms, Fang Yen felt that his heart was about to stop. He wasn't this nervous even when he was facing the Thousand Leaves army. He didn't know what to do and raised his arms, but he was worried that she would get up immediately, so he quickly hugged her. He felt that his chest was being pressed by something, a very warm and full feeling. "I've said it before, I'll help you make Chaoyan the #1 in Hua City, the #1 in Huaxia, the #1 in the world," Lu Chaoga said. "Because I really don't know how to thank you. I won't leave Chaoyan, I'll wait for you in Hua City." Fang Yen was about to cry. "You liar, you're so smart, how could you not know how to thank me? You must know. Can someone help to remind her of it?" Chapter 321. Fang Yen didn't wear his green shirt. His only green shirt was torn into pieces during the battle with Bailey Lu. He did carry a few bottles of liquor, which were gifts prepared by Lu Chaoga for the old drunkard. Of course, those things and some other gifts were packed in boxes, so Fang Yen couldn't bring them to the plane. The only things he brought to the plane were his cell phone, wallet, ID, and 2 clowns. "I think the stewardess is very beautiful. She has an oval face and fair skin," Fang Haohen said with his eyes wide open. "I like the oval face. When she smiles, there are 2 dimples. I want to jump into the dimples and get drunk," Fang Yingying said with an intoxicated expression. "You can't jump in with your fat body, right?" Fong Haohan kindly reminded him. Fong Haohan, do you know how to talk? How am I fat? I'm sturdy, do you know what sturdy is? Fong Yingying was furious. He hated people calling him fat and accusing him of not being as handsome as junior martial uncle Fong Yen. Even if you jump in, Fong Haohan continued to stab him. That's not getting drunk, it's smashing people to death. Fong Haohan, our friendship ends here today. You stole junior martial uncle's 12 techniques of the Jade Room. Fong Yingying was shocked and said with a pale face, from tomorrow onwards, you are my big brother. Fong Yen looked away from the air travel magazine in his hand and looked up at Fong Yingying, who was sneaking around. Fong Haohan said, it's just a casual book. I stuffed it into my pocket when I left home. I don't understand, why are you two old virgins studying that kind of science? Fong Yingying and Fong Haohan looked at each other and lowered their heads in silence. What? Are you embarrassed to say it out loud? Fong Yingying said. Fong Haohan wanted to push Fong Yingying out again. Fong Yingying had learned to be smart this time. If Fong Haohan betrayed him, it would be better to confess himself. He quickly said, I think we have to be better than Junior Martial Uncle in one aspect. Junior Martial Uncle is too outstanding. We feel pressured around you. And then? We can be fat, we can be ugly, but we can't have no self-respect. We want to beat you once, we want to be ahead of you in one thing, and then we want to end our virginity before you do. Innocence? Fong Yen looked at Fong Yingying's bun face in shock and said, you didn't have this when you were born, right? Junior Martial Uncle, I'm talking about virginity, chaste virginity. Virgin. Fong Yingying said with a red face. Virgin? Fong Yen thought about it and slapped Fong Yingying and Fong Haohan's heads. He sneered and said, I'm afraid your wishes are going to be in vain. I've been ahead of you for a long time. You didn't. Fong Yingying clenched his teeth and said, you think I didn't? There are a lot of women who like me, you know. This has nothing to do with you being a dorm boy. Fong Haohan stood firmly on Fong Yingying's side this time. Fong Yen was a little exasperated and said, if I say I'm not, then I'm not. Do I need to prove it to you? Junior Martial Uncle, we've learned bone physiognomy. Fong Yingying said carefully. Master taught us. We can tell with a glance whether someone has martial arts or not. We can also tell if someone is a dorm boy or not. Why did the old drunkard teach you this? Could it be that your martial arts never improved? So you've always been studying these crooked methods? Go back and do the plum blossom steps 100 times. Junior Martial Uncle, you win, Fong Yingying said with a sad face. We admit defeat. Yes, we admit defeat, Fong Haohan agreed. Then don't make us do the plum blossom steps? What do you mean by this? You have to admit defeat because you succumb to violence? We don't mean that. Not at all. I don't care, Fong Yen said, annoyed. Fong Yingying smiled and said, I thought you wouldn't come back last night. What do you mean? Fong Yen asked. We heard you talking to Miss Lu on the phone and asked her out for dinner tonight. So Fong Haohan and I made a bet that you would stay at Miss Lu's house. Fong Yen trembled with anger. He growled in a low voice, you two idiots. What kind of person do you think I am? Seeing that Fong Yen was really angry, Fong Yingying and Fong Haohan apologized again and again, saying that Junior Martial Uncle had misunderstood them. They didn't mean it that way at all. They believed in Junior Martial Uncle's character. Even if all the men in the world did that kind of thing, Junior Martial Uncle would refuse without hesitation. They didn't even send me an invitation, how could I stay? Thinking of what happened last night, Fong Yen felt a little sad. How could there be such a person? Hugging and hugging when they just entered the plot, you sent them to the door and said Happy New Year, see you next year. As a determined teacher, what Fong Yen hated the most was people who gave up halfway. What great achievements would they have in the future? Thinking of how he was going to be looked down upon by these two idiots, Fong Yingying and Fong Haohan, Fong Yen wanted to beat them up. This year's snow came earlier than usual. When the plane landed at Yenjing International Airport, except for the runway that had been cleared, the ground was a vast expanse of white. The entire Yenjing International Airport was a black and white ink painting. The runway was black, and the snow-covered areas were white. I finally saw snow. Someone exclaimed in the rear cabin. That was the first time tourists from the south made a joyful cry when they saw snow. A knowing smile appeared on Fang Yan's face. After leaving home for half a year, he finally came back. Winter was winter when it snowed. He liked this world that was covered with ice and snow. When the cabin door opened, Fang Yan left with Fang Yingying and Fang Haohen. Goodbye. The beautiful air stewardess bowed. The one with the oval face is prettier, Fang Yan said to Fang Yingying and Fang Haohen behind him, as if he had made the final decision. Her breasts are fuller. Speaking of the word fuller, he thought of something familiar. What was it? Fang Yan was in a good mood and liked everything he saw. Of course, there were also people he didn't like. A group of people in black walked towards him, or rather, they walked towards where he was standing. Fang Yan gave Fang Yingying and Fang Haohen a look. Then the three martial nephews moved to the side of the aisle. The aisle was narrow, and there were too many people on the other side. If they collided head-on, there was naturally no way they could pass. There had to be someone who moved aside. Fang Yan was willing to be the person who moved aside. Didn't the public service announcements often say that when everyone takes a small step back, society takes a big step forward? Unexpectedly, the group of people in black stopped in front of Fang Yan. The leader was a young man in a black suit. The man was very handsome and had exquisite facial features. He was the kind of handsome man who could be the captain or the image of any idol group. The handsome man adjusted the gold-rimmed glasses on the bridge of his nose and asked with a smile, "Fang Yan?" His smile was very good-looking, as if it could melt the ice and snow of the outside world. Even the two air stewardesses who were standing at the door of the cabin were dazzled and forgot to say a sweet goodbye to the guests when they left. The group of people in black blocked the aisle, and the guests who came out first did not dare to approach. The people in front did not dare to go, and the people behind could not go, so there was a lot of noise in the cabin. Many people did not know what was going on outside. "It's me," Fang Yan said frankly. Since they had come to the door, it was impossible to hide his identity. "Someone wants to see you," the handsome man said. "Oh, I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Mu Ying." "Mu Ying?" Fang Yan's eyes narrowed. The dragon in the sea, the tigress on the ground, and the eagle in the sky. The handsome man habitually adjusted the glasses on the bridge of his nose again and said, "If I remember correctly, the person you're talking about is me. I don't think you're very busy right now. Come with me." "Sorry, I can't go with you," Fang Yan said with a smile. "When I got on the plane, my mom started to cook my favorite beef tendon. I'm in a hurry to go back for dinner. If I go back late, the meat will either be cooked or the bones will cool, and the taste will change." Mu Ying was not angry. He looked at Fang Yan and asked, "Are you seriously rejecting me?" "Look at my face," Fang Yan said. "Am I smiling?" "The people I want to hire have never failed," Mu Ying said. He smiled again, revealing 8 neat, snow-white teeth. Fang Yan sighed in his mind. It was a pity that this guy didn't become an actor to make little girls scream and cry. "Don't make it hard for me, and I won't make it hard for you, okay? We're both polite people." "You're making it hard for me by asking me to go with you, don't you realize that at all?" Fang Yan said with a serious expression. "I'm not one of those little girls who will willingly go back with you if you throw me a flirtatious look." "Then how about going back with me?" A bright voice suddenly came from the back of the crowd. The men in black parted as a group of women in black camouflage walked over. Their military boots clanked as they walked on the concrete floor. It was as if they were stepping on everyone's hearts, making it hard for them to breathe. The leader was a voluptuous woman with a big silver ring on her ear. She strode up to Fang Yan, looked at him with a smile, and said, "Who would like such a pretty boy? You're a man of iron bones. Come back with me, okay? I'll buy you some candy." The woman's facial features were rough, but they didn't look ugly when put together. Instead, they gave her a strange sense of beauty. She was tall, strong, and voluptuous, like a beautiful aggressive heifer. Every man who saw her had a desire to conquer her. Fang Yan looked at the pretty boy, Mu Ying, and then at the camouflaged woman who was standing in front of him, wanting to hold him in her arms and dote on him. He squinted his eyes and smiled, saying, "Both of you want me to go with you. It's really hard for me to choose. Why don't you two fight it out? I'll go with whoever wins. Chapter 322. If two children were fighting over the same apple, and the father said that if the two of them went out to fight, the winner would get the apple, then the two children might actually go out and fight. However, Fang Yan was facing two adults with high IQs. He asked them to go out and fight, and he would go with whoever won. Wasn't he crazy? Did he think they were idiots? What happened next shocked everyone. Hearing Fang Yan's words, Eagle Moo smiled and nodded. That's a good idea, fair and just. No one will lose out, and no one will gain an advantage. The camouflaged woman also grinned. Her plump lips curled up slightly as she said, I've long wanted to give you a good beating, pretty boy. A perfectly fine man growing up to look like a sissy like you, it's disgusting to look at. Then let's begin? Eagle Moo said. At the same time, I also don't like women who look like you. Fight here? You might be shameless, but I'm not. If we fight in full swing on such a cold day, other people won't be able to bear the cold, the camouflaged woman said with disdain. If you want to fight, then fight somewhere else. Don't stop other people from going home and reuniting. Leave this to us, Eagle Moo said. I have a very good place to recommend. Then what are you waiting for? Lead the way, the camouflaged woman said. Eagle Moo glanced at Fang Yan and said, I have to admit, you're a lucky guy, even luckier than me. Saying so, he led the group of black-clothed people out of the passage. I'm a lucky guy, there's no need to deny that. But what does luckier than you mean? Do you think you're that lucky? Fang Yan secretly thought, but didn't say it out loud. It wasn't that Fang Yan was afraid of losing to Eagle Moo, but because Eagle Moo had already found his target, so why would he stick his face in front of him and say something stupid like you want to fight me? The camouflaged woman pinched Fang Yan's face and said, I'm called Tigress, but I'm not a tigress. Little brother, don't forget big sister. Saying so, she also led her female army away. Fang Ying looked confused and said, Are they really going to fight? Isn't that too childish? Fang Yan glanced at Fang Ying and said, They are not childish. If either side comes alone, we have to go with them today. But the fact that the two teams appeared at the same time and formed such a stalemate, this was not a coincidence. Someone sets a trap, someone breaks it. Is someone helping us? Fang Haohan asked. Fang Yan nodded and said, If someone wants to know our flight number, it's just a phone call away. Don't make it public. We'd better hurry back. Who knows if there will be a third group of people inviting us to their homes. Being too popular is sometimes a burden. The three martial nephews were planning to wait until Mu Ying and the tigress were far away so they could escape. However, Mu Ying and the tigress both stopped at the end of the corridor and turned to look at Fang Yan. The tigress hooked her finger at Fang Yan and said, What's wrong? Little brother, are you in such a hurry to say goodbye to your sister? That won't do. You are our bet. Mu Ying looked at Fang Yan and said, Then come with us. It's good to watch the fun. Fang Yan had no choice but to follow the two groups of people toward the place they were leading. It wasn't until the group of people who blocked the passage had gone far away that the passengers who were intercepted got off the plane one after another. Just now, those groups of people were at daggers drawn, and they didn't even dare to breathe. Some people regretted that they didn't take out their mobile phones to take pictures. Otherwise, they could have posted them to attract attention. That man with glasses is so handsome, the women praised one after another. Fang Yan didn't know how Mu Ying and the others found this warehouse. There were so many warehouses in the airport, and he didn't know how they knew that this warehouse was empty. The warehouse, which was the size of a football field, only had some junk piled up in the corner. No one looked after it, and no one passed by. It was indeed an excellent place to practice. Mu Ying adjusted the glasses on the bridge of his nose, walked out from the crowd, and stood in the middle of the warehouse. The tigress grinned at Fang Yan and said, Little brother, watch carefully. I'm going to break the bridge of this pretty boy's nose. In my eyes, you're better looking. Fang Yan smiled and nodded, but didn't say anything. He didn't want to offend anyone before he figured out the situation. He felt that he was the most innocent person in this incident. He just wanted to go home for the new year, and then two groups of people suddenly rushed out and wanted to take him away. Who did he offend? Not only was Mu Ying handsome, but his body was also very good. Coupled with the small glasses on the bridge of his nose, he looked like one of those beautiful men on TV. The tigress was tall, and standing opposite Mu Ying, she seemed to be stronger than him. Of course, the tigress's leather boots definitely had some advantages. As for whether Mu Ying's leather shoes had any internal strength enhancement, it was not something that outsiders could know. The man was wearing an expensive tailored suit, and every thread and detail seemed to have been specially repaired. The woman was wearing a wild camouflage. When the smile on her face disappeared, and her eyes became cold, she looked like a tigress who could pounce on someone at any time. Tigress, just like her name suggested. Mu Ying took off the gold-rimmed glasses on the bridge of his nose, took out a silk handkerchief from his chest pocket, and carefully wrapped the glasses. A black-clothed man behind him took the glasses and carefully placed them in his pocket. Since there are guests, let's start. Don't let them wait too long, Mu Ying waved at the tigress. The tigress didn't attack immediately, but she lowered her body again. Her head and waist swayed back and forth like layers of waves. No one knew when she would attack, and no one knew how she would do it. This kind of uncertainty put a lot of pressure on people. Mu Ying looked gentle, but he didn't seem to have a good temper. Seeing that the tigress didn't want to take the initiative, he said with a smile, "If you don't want to take the initiative, then don't blame me for not being a gentleman." Before his voice faded, he was already in front of the tigress and punched her chin. "You want to die," the tigress said disdainfully. She clenched one hand into a fist and punched Mu Ying's fist with a stronger force. Fist against fist, flesh against flesh. Eagles were cunning and agile, but they were also fierce. A goshawk swooped down from the sky with the force of a lion pouncing on a tiger. Tigers were the kings of the jungle, famous for their bravery and strength. The king of birds in the sky and the king of beasts on the ground collided. Who would be the final winner? Before the fists touched, the wind and chi carried by the fists had already collided, creating a piercing noise. Boom! The two fists collided, and two majestic waves of air swept out. Mu Ying's meticulously combed hair was blown into a mess, and the big silver earring on the tigress' ear shook violently as if it was going to fly away. This wasn't the end. The moment their fists touched, they both exerted force again. Release of internal force. Bang! With a muffled sound, Mu Ying and the tigress were sent flying at the same time. According to the book, Use of Force, external force could injure people, and internal force could kill people. In other words, using the same amount of force, external force could severely injure someone, while internal force could directly kill someone. This was also the reason why countless martial artists wanted to practice internal force but couldn't find the right path. Zhang Chen was a classic example. His external force had reached the peak, but compared to Fang Yan, who could release internal force, one move was enough to determine the winner. Mu Ying and the tigress both knew how to release their internal force, which was extremely rare in Yanjing. Also, according to Fang Yan's observation, the two were very good at using qi, and their qi was thick and strong. He was afraid that they were about to enter the third realm of external force and internal force. Of course, there was also the possibility that they were deliberately hiding their strength. After one hit, the tigress took 3 steps back, and Mu Ying took 4. The tigress had a slight advantage. The tigress laughed proudly and said, "It's a pity that I didn't destroy your pretty face. You always say that I'm good-looking. Do you like me?" Mu Ying said elegantly, as if the previous loss didn't affect his mood at all. He was a guy who could easily win the favor of women. The tigress sneered and said, "Yes. I like you so much that I want to kill you." Her figure spread out once again, and the leather boots under her feet clattered on the concrete floor like a running monster. Mu Ying's eyes narrowed. He ran twice in a row, and his body suddenly jumped high. His body soared into the air, and then he swooped down like a vulture hunting for its prey. He clenched his fists and punched the tigress's head. If this punch landed, the tigress' head would burst open like a watermelon that had received a heavy blow, and juice would splatter everywhere. The tigress knew his intention, but she didn't try to dodge. She was confident that she could send him flying before he hit her head. At the moment of life and death, Mu Ying's fist suddenly disappeared. No, it just moved down an inch. Whoosh, his fist silently appeared on the tigress's chest, and then he punched the tigress's plump and sturdy chest. Bang! The tigress' body was hit hard, and she flew backward while blood spurted out of her mouth. However, as her body flew backward in the air, the military boots on her feet suddenly left her feet, like a missile that was shot out. Bang! Mu Ying's chest was hit by the leather boots. He grunted, and his body, which was flying in the air, fell heavily to the ground. Good fight, Fang Yen praised sincerely. Both sides hurt. Chapter 323. There was a clear shoe print on Eagle Mu's chest, while there was a trace of blood on the corner of Tigress's mouth. Their bodies were separated by 4 to 5 feet. The man in black brought by Eagle Mu and the woman in camouflage brought by Tigress stood in front of them to separate them. Fang Yen looked at Eagle Mu and Tigress in the middle of the battlefield and asked Fang Yingying and Fang Haohan, "If the two of you were to fight against either Eagle Mu or Tigress, what are your chances of winning?" "I can last 5 minutes," Fang Yingying answered. "I'll turn around and run," Fang Haohan answered. Fang Yingying felt that Fang Haohan's answer was a bit more intelligent than his, so he angrily said, "Junior Marshal Uncle said it's a match, but you turned around and ran? What kind of match is that? Isn't running away a disgrace to the Fang family? We'd rather die than be cowards on the battlefield." Fang Yen glanced at Fang Yingying and said, "It's better for you to turn around and run. Those two, they really aren't people you can handle. That's all there is to it." Fang Yingying was unconvinced. "They aren't as fast as I am. Let's not talk about the strength they displayed and the power they unleashed. I suspect they're hiding their true strength." "Hiding their true strength? It's just a show. Is there a need to fight so hard?" Fang Yen smiled. Fang Yingying and Fang Haohan were confused. They're fighting so hard just to put on a show? To show? To show the people behind them. To show the people who asked them to invite them. Fang Yen smiled. "That's not easy." Tigress glared at Eagle Mu and cursed. "I knew a sissy like you wouldn't have the guts to fight me fair and square. You only know how to use tricks." Eagle Mu wiped the shoe print on his chest with a handkerchief in disgust and said, "Even the shoes are hidden weapons. Who's the real scumbag here? That's your punishment. Fight me again if you dare. I can even fight another 10 rounds. Fang Yen didn't say a word and waited with a face full of admiration. However, the two of them said that they would fight another 10 rounds, but they were reluctant to start. The tigress turned to look at Fang Yen and said, "Little brother, are you anxious?" No. Fang Yen waved his hand. "You guys fight your own battles. Don't worry about me. The two of you are highly skilled and your strength is strong. I admire you from the bottom of my heart. I was so engrossed in watching that I didn't notice the passage of time." Eagle Mu laughed and said, "That's true. We will fight our own, and when the sandpiper and the clam fight, the fisherman will reap the spoon. We will both be wounded, and then none of us will be able to take you back. Am I right?" Fang Yen didn't hide it anymore. He smiled and said, "With your current state, you can't stop me if I want to leave, right?" The tigress was overjoyed and pointed at Fang Yen. "Bold, this is the kind of man this tigress likes." Eagle Mu also smiled and said, "You really know how to take advantage of others. We really can't stop you now, you can go." Fang Yen waved his hand and told Eagle Mu and the tigress, "To be honest, I think you two are a good match. Thank you for welcoming me. We'll meet again in the future." The tigress was angry, but Eagle Mu was even angrier. The tigress looked at the three of them walking away and smiled. "I heard that Eagle Mu never fails when he invites people. Is today an exception?" "It is an exception." Eagle Mu pushed up his gold-rimmed glasses and answered honestly. "Not being able to invite the guests back, that master of yours is probably going to be furious, right?" The tigress mocked. "I didn't manage to invite the guests back, and neither did you." Eagle Mu laughed. "The young lady must be very happy to hear such news. Why would she blame me for not doing a good job? You purposely came to ruin my plans. Same to you. Do you still want to fight? I want to do some exercise today. I need a target to vent my anger on. I'm sorry, I suddenly don't want to move today." "Why?" the tigress asked. "You're too ugly." I can't hit you, Eagle Moo said. The three of them left the airport, but no one came to pick them up. They hailed a taxi and got in. After telling the driver the address, the taxi driver looked hesitant. Why aren't you leaving? Fang Yin asked. Big brother, that place is too far. I'm afraid that the road will be blocked by snow, the taxi driver explained. At 100 yuan as a tip, Fang Yin said. Big brother, it's not about the money, I'm just afraid that the wheels will get stuck. If that happens, I won't be able to call for help. Add 200 yuan as a tip, Fang Yin said. Brother, you're a kind person. With these 200 bucks, even if the wheels get stuck, it'll be enough for me to call for a tow truck. Sit tight, we're leaving now. I promise I'll send you back for dinner. No problem. So, the taxi crushed the snow on the ground and left a trail of dust behind. After Fang Yin and the other two left, Eagle Moo and the tigress came out from another exit. They left in their own cars. There were still people waiting for them in Yanjing City. Swallow Dock. It was a very strange place. It looked like a town, but it also looked like an isolated village. It belonged to Yanjing City, but it was very far from Yanjing City. Although it was called a suburb, it was built beautifully, classically, and solemnly. Fang Yan's home was here. Screech. The taxi stopped in front of the stone monument of Swallow Dock. The driver pointed at the road that hadn't been cleared and said, Brother, there's really no way to go forward. The road ahead is covered by snow, who knows if there are pits in it. Can you walk a few steps? Sure. Then I'll walk a few steps, Fang Yin said. He didn't want the taxi to send him directly to the door, he didn't think he was ready. The three got out of the car. When the taxi driver left, he politely gave them his business card and said that if they needed a car, they could call him at any time. After getting a positive answer from Fang Yin, he turned around and left. Fang Yingxiong and Fang Haohen's faces were filled with excitement, and they had the awe-inspiring aura of someone who had just returned home. Fang Yin was a little timid. The closer he was to home, the more nervous he was. When he left home, he didn't look good, and now he was a little embarrassed. The closer he was to home, the more timid he was. Junior Marshal Uncle, let me carry the suitcase. Fang Yinging picked up the heaviest suitcase. Inside were gifts that Lu Chaoga bought for the elders of the Fang family. If he carried it back, it would naturally be pleasing. Fang Haohen was a little slow, so he had to pick up Fang Yan's suitcase. He stared at Fang Yinging with dissatisfaction, blaming him for not being loyal. Fang Yan's hands were empty, and his heart was empty. The shoes of the three stepped on the snow, making a kacha-kacha sound. The familiar street, the familiar alley, the familiar river embankment, the familiar willow, kacha. Fang Yin suddenly stopped in the snow. Fang Yinging and Fang Haohen, who were walking in front, turned around at the same time and looked at Fang Yin in confusion. Fang Haohen asked, Junior Marshal Uncle, why didn't you walk? Junior Marshal Uncle, did you forget something? Fang Yinging asked. Fang Yin didn't answer. He looked straight ahead with a cold gaze. Fang Yinging and Fang Haohen turned around at the same time, and the expression on their faces instantly became cold. In the world of ice and snow, a small white dot was quickly flying towards them. The white dot became bigger and bigger, and its speed also became faster and faster. Finally, it turned into a human figure. His white robe fluttered and his black hair was loose. An extremely handsome and gentle man stood in front of Fang Yin. He held a bamboo scroll in his hand, and his whole body was filled with a comfortable scholarly aura. His smile was very gentle, and his eyes were very pure. Everyone who saw him would think that he was a noble young master who lived in seclusion in the mountains, untainted by karma and untainted by dust. The only thing that was out of place was that he was standing barefoot in the snow in this windy and snowy weather. His feet sank deep into the snow, leaving a row of long footprints on the white snow. However, when Fang Yin saw the row of footprints, his pupils couldn't help but shrink again. Every footprint was the same size, and every footprint was of the same depth. In other words, as he ran, the strength of every step he took was the same, not a bit lighter, not a bit heavier. Just how heaven-defying was this person's control of strength? He didn't waste a single bit of strength. Scholar Bai Xiu. Bai Xiu was an anomaly. Even in a place like Swallow Dock where there were countless strange people, he was still an anomaly. No one had ever said that he was talented, and no one had ever dared to look down on his strength. He kept a low profile, but everyone liked and respected him. Fang Huohuo was an exception. Yi Gentle was known as the #1 among the younger generation in the martial world, but she said that he didn't have a 100% chance of winning against Bai Xiu. When Fang Yan didn't have the heart of Tai Chi, Yi Gentle was a fierce existence who could pinch Fang Yan as she pleased. But such an invincible woman said that she might not be able to defeat Bai Xiu. How could Fang Yan, who was lying on the bed, face himself? Fang Yan and Bai Xiu were polar opposites in Swallow Dock. Fang Yan was a typical bad boy, while Bai Xiu was the representative of a good boy. When Fang Yan was young, his family always taught him things like, "Look at Bai Xiu, he can already recite hundreds of Tang poems. Look at Bai Xiu, he scored 100 marks in the exam. Look at Bai Xiu, he can already draw the swallow painting. Look at Bai Xiu." Every bad boy had a good boy by his side. The good boy by Fang Yan's side was Bai Xiu. Bai Xiu looked at Fang Yan and grinned. It was snowing heavily. I was sitting at home, warming my wine and reading poems. I happened to read the line, "The master of Mount Hibiscus in the snow, dogs bark at the wooden door, returning on a snowy night." When I heard the sound of a car outside, I thought it must be you. Bai Xiu looked at Fang Yan with joy and said, "It's really you." Chapter 324. The good students and the bad students were like two contradictory classes. The good students suppressed the bad students in terms of academics, and the bad students fought back against the good students in terms of martial arts. Of course, Fang Huohuo failed miserably. He was suppressed by Bai Xiu in terms of academics, but he failed to suppress Bai Xiu in terms of martial arts. From the day he met Bai Xiu, Fang Yan didn't like him. Why was he always so gentle and polite? Why were his clothes always white and clean without a wrinkle? Why was he always able to get full marks in exams, write poems, paint, and play all kinds of musical instruments? Fang Yan wasn't a perfect person, so he didn't like Bai Xiu, who was too perfect. On the other hand, Bai Xiu was neither too close nor too close to Fang Yan, neither too close nor too cold, neither too close nor too distant. Of course, he was like this to everyone. Looking at the barefoot Bai Xiu, Fang Yan said with a smile, "I don't think we're that close. Just tell me, why did you come out to see me?" Bai Xiu looked Fang Yan up and down and said, "You defeated the Japanese sword god Chiba Hashirama?" "That's true." "You defeated Yi Rou?" "I can't say I defeated him." Fang Yan glanced around with the corner of his eyes. He didn't see Yi Rou, the Fang family, or even a chicken raised by the Fang family. The Fang family's chickens were like the people of the Fang family. They walked with their heads held high and had a very special spirit. Of course, this didn't mean that Fang Yan could pick out the Fang family's chickens from other flocks. They didn't have the ability to look down on other chickens, mainly because Fang Yan didn't see a single chicken within hundreds of meters. The snow was so heavy that even the chickens didn't want to come out to look for food. We just had a friendly match. I didn't lose. Then you won. Bai Xiu looked at Fang Yan with a smile. So, your heart of Tai Chi is resurrected again? What do you mean my heart of Tai Chi is resurrected? My Tai Chi heart is still alive. Fang Yan raised an eyebrow and looked at Bai Xiu. You all know? Got it, Bai Xiu replied with a serious expression. Because the heart of Tai Chi disappeared, you were worried about being beaten and humiliated by Yi Rou, so you ran away and didn't dare to accept the challenge. Everyone in Swallow Dock knows about it. Fang Yingying was furious and said, "Who said that our junior martial uncle's heart of Tai Chi has disappeared? Our junior martial uncle's heart of Tai Chi has always existed. Not only does it exist, but it has also risen by a very, very large realm. The reason why our junior martial uncle ran away, not to run away, but to leave, was because he didn't want to hurt Miss Yi. Junior martial uncle's heart of Tai Chi was improving too fast, and his strength was getting stronger and stronger. He was worried that he would defeat Miss Yi in this year's competition. Miss Yi is such a proud and arrogant person. If she fails, how sad will she be? That's right, Fang Haohen echoed. Junior martial uncle didn't want to fight with Miss Yi because he cared about her. Otherwise, junior martial uncle wouldn't have left. Besides, even if junior martial uncle left because the heart of Tai Chi disappeared, now junior martial uncle's heart of Tai Chi has come back, and it has improved greatly. Isn't this a good inspirational story? In the eyes of Fang Yingying and Fang Haohan, their junior martial uncle Fang Yen was a disabled but strong-willed person. After the heart of Tai Chi disappeared, he didn't want to give up. He endured humiliation and ran away from home to regain his confidence and become a real strong human being. Finally, through his hard work and luck, he finally succeeded. The school should write the story of junior martial uncle Fang Yen into the textbooks. Bai Xiu laughed as he looked at Fang Yingying and said, "Hero, you're getting fatter and fatter. Life in Huaqing isn't bad, right?" Fang Yingying opened his mouth and laughed until he was about to cry. "Why did you praise a parent for being fat? Don't you know how to chat?" Bai Xiu looked at Fang Haohan and said, "Hero is still as thin as before. You should find a doctor to treat your illness. It's not good to eat glass all the time." Fang Haohan's expression was calm as he said, "Being able to eat glass is already very good." Bai Xiu looked at Fang Yen and said, "Hero is right. Your experience is really inspirational. If you agree, I'll consider writing it into the textbooks for the students." There was a school in Swallow Dock. It had a very old name. Regardless of age, knowledge was taught by a few knowledgeable people. Tang poetry, song poetry, three-character classic, disciple rules. They could also talk about classics, history, mathematics, music, and painting. The teacher could teach whatever they wanted to teach, and the students could listen to whatever they wanted to listen. The teacher was natural, and the students were free. The parents of Swallow Dock would send their children to the school to learn. Even some teenagers or elderly people who had nothing to do would find a chair at the back of the classroom to listen to the class or take a nap. Of course, no one forced them to come to class. If you wanted to send your child to a noble school or a bilingual school, that was your freedom. However, if someone really did that, they would definitely be ridiculed by the people of Swallow Dock. In the eyes of the people of Swallow Dock, the school in Swallow Dock was the best educational institution in the world. If you sent your child to another place to learn, it would undoubtedly be a denial of Swallow Dock's culture. Not everyone was qualified to be a teacher in Swallow Dock. Fang Yen tried, but didn't get the interview. On the other hand, Bai Xiu was personally invited by the school to teach the students. The reason why Fang Yen went to Huaqing to be a teacher was probably because he wanted to rebuild his confidence. Of course, it was more likely that he needed a job at that time, and his grandfather happened to be the old headmaster of Rosefinch Secondary. That won't be necessary. Fang Yen refused. "I'm a low-key person. I don't like to be the hero of a story or the superhero who saves the world. A bowl of porridge, a cup of tea, and a simple life I want. That's enough." Bai Xiu smiled and nodded. "Up to you." After saying that, Bai Xiu didn't have any intention of leaving. Fang Yen looked at Bai Xiu with an unfriendly gaze. "You want to fight with me?" No. Bai Xiu acted as if he had heard something very ridiculous. He waved his hands in denial. His pale cheeks flushed red. It seemed that Fang Yan's words had greatly stimulated him. These days, there were very few men who would blush because of a man's words. If it wasn't because he liked Fang Yen, it proved that his personality was indeed simple and kind. "You've just returned. I don't have any intention of fighting with you. I just heard that you've regained the heart of Tai Chi and improved in the Tai Chi realm, so I'm very curious. So, you still want to fight with me?" Fang Yen looked coldly at Bai Xiu. This was what he disliked the most about Bai Xiu. If you have something to say, just say it. If you have something to do, just do it. Why are you so wishy-washy? Are you a mother-in-law or a mother? Bai Xiu nodded embarrassedly. "I just want to try. You know that I've always been very curious about new things. Since you want to try, I'll go back and eat first." Fang Yen said. He liked to prank Bai Xiu like this. Whenever Bai Xiu wanted to do something but didn't want to say it, he would use this method to retaliate. "Don't you want it? Since I know, I won't let you get what you want." Every time Fang Yen bullied Bai Xiu like this, Phoenix would speak up for Bai Xiu. Thus, Fang Yan would bully Bai Xiu even more. In the past, Fang Yan thought that Bai Xiu did this because he was in his rebellious phase. However, Bai Xiu still did it happily. This proved that his behavior had nothing to do with rebelliousness. It was because he really didn't like Bai Xiu's style of speaking and doing things. "All right," Bai Xiu said. There was a deep regret on his face. He wouldn't force others to do something they didn't want to do. "Go back and eat first. You've just returned home. There must be a lot of things you need to deal with." "Since you say so, let's fight," Fang Yan said. "You're interested in new things. I'm only interested in you." Fang Yan's gaze swept over the row of footprints. The wind blew the snow, and the sky was dark. The row of footprints could no longer be seen clearly. However, Fang Yan could still clearly remember how they looked when he first saw them. They were the same size and had the same depth. How much did Bai Xiu's strength increase? Being strong and not returning home was like walking at night in brocade clothes. Fang Yan still had a big dream in his heart. After his heart of Tai Chi returned, he thought that during the spring festival he would go door to door and challenge his friends who were close or not close to him. He would defeat them one by one. That way, they would be too embarrassed to call him Fang Ran and laugh at him for running away from home. Fang Ran ran. When he thought of this nickname, he wanted to vomit a few liters of blood. Since Bai Xiu took the initiative to challenge him, then he would start with him. "Is it too bad? It won't take up your time, will it?" Bai Xiu said with a guilty expression. "Are you done?" Fang Yan said impatiently. "If you want to fight, then fight." "You talk too much." Bai Xiu was not angry. Bai Xiu was not angry. He thought about it seriously and said, "If we want to determine the winner, I'm afraid it will take a long time. My parents and relatives are waiting at home, and I don't want to waste too much of your time, lest they blame me. How about this? Let's exchange 3 blows. After 3 moves, no matter who wins or loses, we will go home. How about it?" "Then 3 moves it is." Fang Yan nodded and agreed to Bai Xiu's suggestion. If they wanted to decide the winner, it would indeed take a long time. Besides, this was the stone tablet of Swallow Dock, and also the entrance to Swallow Dock. It would be bad if they startled some people who should not be startled. Hearing Fang Yan agree, Bai Xiu was happy as if he had obtained a treasure. He said, "Then let's begin." He waved his sleeve, and a gust of wind attacked Fang Yan. Fang Yan rolled his eyes helplessly. Chapter 325. Inside the manor, a beautiful woman dressed in white was driving a dark red lawn mower to cut the grass. Crack, crack. Every time the blade of the lawnmower closed, the precious grass would be cut in 2. Grass foam and juices flew everywhere. The smell of grass mixed with the cold air and permeated the entire manor. The woman was very serious. She drove the lawnmower forward slowly and leisurely, as if she was doing something very important. Eagle Moo waited at the edge of the field, a small path made of protruding green bricks. This way, he wouldn't step on the young lady's favorite patch of grass. Crack, crack. As the lawn mower passed by Eagle Moo, the white-clothed, white-gloved mower didn't seem to have any intention of stopping. Eagle Moo called out, "Young lady, the tigress appeared at the airport. I couldn't bring Fang Yan back." "Got it," the woman responded faintly and continued to drive the mower to cut the grass. Eagle Moo's report didn't come as a surprise at all. Eagle Moo smiled, pushed up his gold-rimmed glasses, then turned around to leave the manor. Since the young lady said she got it, that means she already expected this answer. In an old courtyard house, a young man was sitting on a stone chair playing chess with an old man. The old man wanted to take back his move after one of his cannons was eaten, but the young man wouldn't agree. The 2 of them were in a stalemate, neither able to convince the other. Knock knock. The sound of someone knocking on the door could be heard. The old and leaky wooden door swayed gently, but no one pushed the door open to enter. The old man pushed the chess piece forward and said, "I hate it when I'm playing chess the most. If you have something to say, then get out of here. Don't bring these trivial things to disturb my peace. You knew you were going to lose, so you purposely pushed the chess piece away." The man smiled and said, "It's not the first time either." The old man took a sip of hot tea from the teapot and scolded, "You think I'm a sore loser? I've lost at least 80 battles, big or small, in my life. And the result? Where are the old dogs that beat me now? A person who would never lose, how many people would be jealous of him? Sometimes, it's better to lose, it's better to be safe. If he lost, he could live longer. Look at me. How old am I? I've already forgotten about it. The old man thought of something he was proud of and started singing at the top of his voice. I was originally a carefree person from Crouching Dragon Hill. Talking about yin and yang was as easy as turning one's palm to protect the universe. The late emperor went down to Nanyang to invite the imperial entourage thrice and allied with Dong Yu to destroy Chao Wei. He was given the title of Marquis of Wuxiang, holding the commander's seal, conquering from the east to the west, attacking from the north to the south. The man sat on the stone chair and listened with a smile. It was not until the old man finished singing the empty city stratagem that he got up and walked out of the courtyard. You didn't bring it back? The man frowned slightly. The tigress looked at the man and spoke in a respectful tone. Eagle Moo interfered. We had a big fight, but the target went missing. The expression on the man's face gradually softened as he said, it's not surprising that they knew we would take action. They could protect him for a while, but not forever. This is Beijing. The man stepped over the threshold of the small courtyard and headed outside. A man in black followed behind him unhurriedly. The tigress looked at the man's receding figure with a playful look in her eyes. Ziji Tongjian said, a person with both talent and virtue is called a sage, while a person without both talent and virtue is called a fool. Virtue over talent is called a gentleman, talent over virtue is called a villain. Bai Xiu had both talent and virtue. It was too much to call him a saint, but no one would have any objections if he was called a gentleman. For example, the first move he made with his sleeves and used the wind as an attack. It was a warm-up or a gift move for martial artists before a duel. Because the lethality was limited, it usually did not cause much physical harm to the person being attacked. Other people would think of ways to knock down their opponent in a fight, but he would never use all his killing moves right from the start. Of course, Bai Xiu's move was not that simple. Full wind sleeves, chi like a knife. The so-called wind knife was to turn the wind into a knife, and the knife was invisible. Bai Xiu just casually waved his sleeves, and countless cold winds turned into an invisible wind knife, slashing toward Fang Yan's chest. The knife was invisible, but it carried the wind and was extremely powerful. Whoosh, Fang Yan gathered his strength in his dantian and fiercely punched out. The iron fist met the blade of the wind knife. The wind knife lasted for a breath of time before collapsing, scattering everywhere. Fang Yan retracted his fist and looked at Bai Xiu. We are all adults, don't play this kind of children's game. You know this level of duel can't hurt me and it can't test my ability. If it's for the sake of being a gentleman, then it's really not necessary. Save it for someone else. Bai Xiu smiled honestly and said, I know this wind knife can't hurt you, and I also know this level of attack can't test your ability. But you just came back, and I want to fight you to the death. I don't think that's appropriate. I don't want to kill you. 2 more moves, Fang Yan said. Hurry up. I still have to go home after the fight. Fang Yan looked up at the sky and said, the snow is getting heavier. The sky grew darker, and snowflakes fluttered down, dancing in the wind. Yeah. The snow is getting heavier, Bai Xiu agreed. His body spun 360 degrees on the spot, so fast that he was like a spinning top whose shadow could not be seen clearly. His robe flapped in the wind, and his sleeves fluttered towards the sky. It was as if he wanted to catch all the beautiful snowflakes falling from the sky in his sleeves. Whoosh! When his body stopped, countless snowballs flew towards Fang Yan's direction. These snowballs were the size of fingernails, crystal clear, round and cute, as if they were finished products from a machine production line. However, countless snowballs were equivalent to countless silver bullets. They carried a strong gust of wind and murderous intent, whistling towards Fang Yan. The sky full of snowballs gathered into a formation. Fang Yan's body, as well as his possible escape routes, were all sealed. Fang Yan's eyes became cold, and finally became serious. He knew the power of these snowballs. Each snowball was like a hard steel ball. These ice balls that Bai Xiu had temporarily condensed had a destructive power that could destroy anything. Even an iron plate could be pierced through by them. Flying flowers and leaves could hurt people. The same principle applied to wind knives and snow arrows. During the war, the Xingyi master Li Hanshan encountered dozens of strong enemies. Unarmed, he killed all the attackers with a handful of pine needles. Later, he found out that these people were members of the East Sea Black Dragon Triad. In a rage, Li Hanshan joined the National Army and led his mountain-moving brigade to wipe out countless invaders. He especially took revenge on the East Sea Black Dragon Triad. In the northeast of Huaxia, the strongest area of the Black Dragon Triad was almost completely wiped out by Li Hanshan. This was the effect of practicing internal force to the extreme. Li Hanshan finally became a grandmaster and was nicknamed King of Needles. From then on, generations of martial artists aimed to pursue stronger and purer internal force. Fang Yan and Bai Xiu were both masters of internal martial arts and also figures of the inner Jianghu. They started to practice qi at a very young age, and when qi flowed through their whole body and into their weapons, they could always achieve unexpected results. Bai Xiu's second attack made Fang Yan feel danger. The heart of Tai Chi rotated automatically, and the Tai Chi realm also unfolded naturally. In the Tai Chi realm, the countless snowballs turned into countless white spots, rushing toward all the vital points and acupuncture points on Fang Yan's body. This alone showed that Bai Xiu's strength was unfathomable. Those ordinary snowballs in his hands seemed to have eyes, and had the ability to recognize and hit acupuncture points. If they hurt the flesh, they would only have to lie in bed for 3 months to recover. However, if they hurt the vital points or acupuncture points, they would either die or be disabled. This Bai Xiu had indeed become fierce. Of course, the purpose of a martial arts competition was to defeat the other party. An opponent who always attacked one's buttocks or calves would probably be looked down upon. Fang Yan stretched out his hands. With just a light stretch, he caught a handful of snowballs in his palms. He threw the ice balls out, and the ice balls collided with the other ice balls. One hit the other, and the two snowballs that deviated from their direction hit even more snowballs at the same time. With the help of the Tai Chi realm, Fang Yan could clearly see the positions and trajectories of those snowballs. He was like a brilliant magician, using the snowballs as a primer, causing the interior of the ice formation to loosen and disintegrate. Pa 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 pa. The sound of the snowballs hitting each other rang out incessantly, and the sound of ice cracking rose and fell. But the wind stopped, and the snow scattered. Fang Yan's surroundings were restored to tranquility. The howling wind stopped, and the ice balls that were jumping restlessly also disappeared. It was as if they had never been in this world. They were originally condensed from snowflakes, and after being hit by the snowballs infused with hidden force from Fang Yan, they naturally broke into pieces and then instantly turned back into soft white snow. Bai Xiu's eyes flickered, and he said, "This is the evolved Tai Chi realm? The previous Tai Chi realm wasn't like this, it didn't have this kind of ability. This is the evolved Tai Chi realm," Fang Yan said with a smile. "I named it Starlight. Every meteor has its own trajectory, and in my Tai Chi realm, every object's movement, even the slightest movement of grass has its own trajectory. Congratulations," Bai Xiu said. If it's sincere congratulations, a withered yellow bamboo piece appeared in Fang Yan's palm, and he said, "Why do you still want to kill me?" There were words on the bamboo piece. The first line of the Sleeping in the Snow with the Master of Hibiscus Mountain. The sun sets in the distant mountains. Chapter 326. Bai Xiu held the bamboo slip in his hand. The first piece of bamboo was taken away and became his weapon to kill his enemy. Under the attack of the ice balls that filled the sky, a bamboo piece that blended in with the color of the sky suddenly flew over. The worst thing was that the bamboo piece came from behind, and it stabbed into the middle of Fang Yan's back while he was busy blocking the ice balls, as if there was another killer hiding in the snow behind him. A pincer attack, using countless ice balls as bait to attract Fang Yan's attention, but the real killer move was on this bamboo piece. Fortunately, Fang Yan had the heart of Tai Chi. The heart of Tai Chi was the heart of nature. and the domain of Tai Chi was the domain of the king. In his own territory, everything was under Fang Yan's supervision. Therefore, Fang Yan chose to grab a handful of ice balls to block the ice balls, while his other hand was used to intercept the killer move from behind. Being on guard, the bamboo piece fell into Fang Yan's hand. Bai Xiu looked at the bamboo piece and smiled. This is my third move. The third move to kill me? I'm just more attentive. As you said, if I don't use a special move, I can't defeat you, and it's difficult to force you to use your true strength. Even so, you still blocked it. Bai Xiu showed a regretful expression. A move that doesn't kill can't be considered a killer move. I should have been more cautious. Fang Yan looked at Bai Xiu with a smile. Don't worry, there will be another chance. Yes. Bai Xiu nodded seriously. Now that you're back at Swallow Fort, we have a chance to spar at any time, right? Did Phoenix go to Flower City to find you? Fang Yan stared sharply at Bai Xiu, trying to see through his real thoughts at the moment. Was he jealous? Or could it be that the murderous intent had arisen from love? Fang Yan nodded. Since Bai Xiu already knew, there was no point in hiding it. After all, many people had seen the Phoenix when he had fought against the Thousand Leaves army on the peak of One Sword Peak. A shy smile appeared on Bai Xiu's face again as he said, "Thank you." "Thank you? What are you thanking me for?" Fang Yan asked. "Thank you for taking care of her for me," Bai Xiu said matter-of-factly. "Aren't you worried?" "Worried? I'm worried that we'll rekindle our old feelings," Fang Yan said. "The two of you never had any feelings for each other. How could you have rekindled them?" Bai Xiu asked with a puzzled expression. Fang Yan felt like he had been stabbed in the chest. He waved his hand and impatiently said to Bai Xiu, let's go back to eat." "Goodbye," Bai Xiu said with a smile. By the time Fang Yan, Fang Yingying and Fang Haohen had gone far away, Bai Xiu was still standing straight in the snowstorm. He pulled his right hand out from behind his back and looked at the red line mark in the middle of his palm with a slight frown. He took out another piece of bamboo from the bamboo slip, then used it as a knife and used it to make a cut on his palm. His flesh split open and blood gushed out. His palm and the gaps between his fingers were instantly dyed red with blood. The shallow red line was actually a living creature. Perhaps it had sensed danger and wanted to burrow deeper into his flesh. Bai Xiu's fingers shot out like lightning and pinched one end of the red line with 2 fingers, forcibly pulling it out of his palm. Screech, 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 the red line shook its head and let out a soft cry. Bai Xiu raised the red line snake in front of his eyes and looked at it, then suddenly exerted force. Crack! The red line snake's body exploded and turned into a puddle of blood. Bai Xiu threw the red line snake on the ground, then grabbed a handful of snow and rubbed it in his hand to clean the blood off his fingers. "What else do you know?" Bai Xiu muttered to himself. The biting cold wind blew his long hair, and his white robe also danced wildly in the wind. He sprinted barefoot like a wandering ghost in the wilderness. Crack, crack, crack. The 3 martial nephews walked through the deep snow toward the Fang family's mansion again. "Junior martial uncle, who won, you or Bai Xiu?" Fang Yingying asked as he carried the big box. Because the snow was too deep, he could not put the box on the ground and pull it. He could only carry it in his arms and protect it carefully. He knew that the box was filled with gifts from Miss Lu Chaoga to the Fang family's master. If he carried it back like this, the matriarch would at least praise Fang Yingying for his hard work and that this handsome young man was very good at doing things. "I won," Fang Yan said. "I knew junior martial uncle must have won, so I didn't ask." "So I won't ask," Fang Haohen said. Fang Yingying had the urge to beat up Fang Haohen. "How could you stab your own brother like that?" He retorted, "I also knew that junior martial uncle must have won. The reason why I asked this question is because, if no one asked, junior martial uncle himself would be too embarrassed to tell us that he won, right? And this is the only way to express how much we value junior martial uncle's every match." "He didn't lose either," Fang Yan said. His expression was stern, and his eyes were filled with unfathomable thoughts. "What do you mean?" Fang Yingying and Fang Haohen were dumbfounded. What kind of answer was that? Did junior martial uncle win or lose? If he won, Junior Martial Uncle would definitely tell them, because he was not a humble person. Hero. Good man, Fang Yen said in a deep voice. If Bai Xiu wants to kill you, don't hesitate, run. Run as far as you can. Junior Martial Uncle, Fang Yingying's eyes widened. Bai Xiu is, Junior Martial Uncle, we understand. Fang Haohen kicked Fang Yingying's foot and interrupted, we won't give Bai Xiu a chance. If Bai Xiu wants to kill us, we'll turn around and run, while shouting for help. Fang Yen looked at Fang Haohen with relief and said, that's what you should do. Don't have any wishful thinking. Fang Yingying was very sad. He felt that he couldn't understand what Junior Martial Uncle and Fang Haohen were talking about. Why did Bai Xiu want to kill them? They were all from the same village. Why did he want to kill them? If he dared to kill them, wouldn't he be afraid of Junior Martial Uncle's revenge? Shifu wouldn't let him go either, right? After walking through this alley and a pond, the first house facing the pond was the Fang family's mansion. As they got closer and closer to home, Fang Yen became nervous again. Kacha, Fang Yen, who was walking at the back, suddenly stopped. Fang Yingxiong and Fang Haohen, who were in front, habitually looked forward. They didn't find any suspicious characters, not even a chicken, who would come out and walk around when it was snowing. Junior Martial Uncle, what did you find? Fang Yingying asked. There's no one in front, Fang Haohen reminded. Let's call home, Fang Yen said. Call? Fang Yingying and Fang Haohen were dumbfounded. Fang Yingying's chubby finger pointed ahead and said, Junior Martial Uncle, we'll be home in another 500 meters. We don't need to call, right? Let's just call, Fang Yen said. We'll give our family a surprise. But if you call, won't everyone know that we're coming back? How can there be a surprise? Fang Yingying felt that his IQ couldn't understand Fang Yan's behavior. Fang Yen took out his phone from his pocket and called home. Soon, the call was picked up. Hello, who is this? His mother's voice came through. Mom, it's me, Fang Yen shouted while holding the phone. Fang Yen? Brat, are you on vacation? When are you coming back? His mother asked eagerly. In front of their own children, all parents in the world didn't have much resistance. Mom, I won't be coming back for Chinese New Year, Fang Yen said. I'm planning to spend Chinese New Year in Huaqing, so I can spend some time with Grandpa and Grandma. Not coming back? How can you? If you want to spend time with Grandpa and Grandma, you can invite them over. How can I not come back? Mom, my dad, he is still mad at me, right? I left in such a hurry that I didn't have time to tell him. He must have been very disappointed, right? I feel very guilty, Fang Yen asked in a low voice. Silly kid, you're afraid that your dad is still mad at you, so you don't dare to come back, right? Don't worry, with me here, your dad won't dare to scold you. Come back, I'm on your side this time. If he dares to scold you, I won't forgive him. This time it's not your fault. Mom, this is indeed my fault. It has nothing to do with my dad. You can't argue with him because of this. You have to stand on my dad's side. He's doing this for my own good. I miss you too. I'll think about it. No need to think about it. Come back quickly. I'm waiting for you at home. I know you like to eat lamb scorpion. I'll make a big pot of it for you. Okay. I'll tell you when I get back, Fang Yen said with a smile. Silly son, come back. I miss you, Mom said softly. Her voice was sour. Mom, I know. I miss you too. Don't worry, I'll be back soon, Fang Yen comforted her softly. I'll wait for you at home, Mom said. Fang Yen hung up the phone and said to Fang Yingying and Fang Haohen, let's go. We can go back now. Fang Yingying and Fang Haohen looked at Fang Yen in a daze, feeling weak all over. He was worried that if he suddenly returned home he would be bombarded by the whole family, so he made a phone call at home, using the excuse that he didn't dare to go home to persuade his mother to split their forces. They tried their best to catch up again and again, but they were left behind by him again and again. They thought they had grasped the true meaning and essence of Fang Yan's shamelessness, but every time Fang Yen performed, it would refresh their worldview. Junior Martial Uncle ran all the way in front. When would he reach the end? Chapter 327. When Lu Wan put down the phone, Fang Yixing came out of the study with a scroll of Wu Kaizi's 13 masterpieces of calligraphy and painting. Seeing Lu Wan's expression, he asked, "Is it that brat?" Lu Wan looked at Fang Yixing unkindly and said, "What brat? He is your son." "Humph, I don't have such a son." Fleeing in the face of battle, avoiding battle, cowardly and fearless of death, shameless and shameless, was this a man of the Fang family? He is even worse than a woman. I, Fang Yixing, can't afford to lose my face. Fang Yixing shouted angrily. Speaking of his good-for-nothing son, he was angry. Humiliation, it was a humiliation as big as the heavens. How could he do such a thing? How could he run away on the day of the competition? If he couldn't beat others, he should let them beat him. He had been beaten before. Why did he run away? Why did he run away? From the day Fang Yan ran away, Fang Yixing felt that he had lost all his face. He could no longer straighten his back and raise his head to look at others. "Fang Yixing, you really raised a good son." "Ha, he ran away." "Fang Yixing, didn't you say your son went to take a bath and change clothes?" "I'm afraid he won't come out for a year and a half." "Should we continue to wait?" "Old Fang, your son is clever. Ordinary people can't do this." Thinking of the ridiculing faces of the Fang family and the crazy smiles of his friends when they talked about his son, Fang Yixing had an impulse to catch Fang Yan and beat him to death. He not only lost his face, but also the face of the ancestors of the Fang family. When the old man heard that Fang Yan ran away before the competition, the person who had been paralyzed for many years stood up from the wheelchair and then fell to the ground. Now he still had the face to come back? And he still had the face to call back? "Fang Yixing, are you done?" Lu Wan shouted angrily. Lu Wan inherited her father's stubbornness and her mother's kindness. In addition, she was nurtured in a scholarly family for many years, so she was gentle and rarely got angry with others. She was like the character Wan in her name. However, when she encountered something that she thought she must persist in, the energy she burst out was also amazing. For example, everything about her son, Fang Yan. Fang Yixing looked at his wife Lu Wan in surprise, frowned and asked, "What did that brat say to you again? Is it reasonable for him to skip class and run away?" "What did he say?" "He said he wasn't going home for the Lunar New Year. He said he wanted to spend the Lunar New Year with his grandma in Huacheng. Wasn't it all because of you? He was afraid that you were still angry with him. He was afraid that you would be sad and disappointed with him. Look at you, what have you done to the child all these years? How did I oppress him? I'm doing this for his own good." "Are you doing this for his own good? Who was he doing this for? Who did he live for? Why should he suffer so many grievances? Why do you have to shoulder so much pressure?" Lu Wan stared at Fang Yixing fiercely and said, "My son doesn't like to practice martial arts since he was born. What he likes most is reading poems, writing lyrics and flowers. He has the blood of the Fang family in his blood, and half of it is the blood of the Lu family. The Lu family hates fighting and killing the most. But what did you do? You forced him to practice his stance, and he stood there for hours. If he couldn't finish the task, he was punished. The punishment was to stand for a longer time. When he was a little older, he was asked to learn boxing. When his hands were red and swollen, he was not allowed to rest for a day." Fang Yixing knew that his wife was really angry. He explained in a low voice, "He can't rest. Once he rests, all his previous efforts will be wasted. He can only get through the hurdle in one go." "Yes, you are his father. You said he can't rest, so he can only continue to practice. After standing for a while, he will practice boxing. After boxing, he will practice palm, sword, plum blossom steps. He will learn all the things you asked him to learn. Have you ever asked for his opinion? Do you know if he really likes it? You told him that the Fang family Tai Chi must be inherited by someone. You told him that the Fang family needs someone to bring glory to the Fang family. You told him that you are a descendant of the Fang family, so you must shoulder this burden. What are you doing? Aren't you a descendant of the Fang family? Why don't you inherit the Fang family Tai Chi? Why don't you go and bring glory to the Fang family? You stay in the study all day, reading and painting. When the child makes a little mistake, you scold him. But you have escaped for your whole life. Can't you allow my son to escape for once? I. Fang Yixing opened his mouth, but he found that he couldn't say anything. What she said was so reasonable. He was a descendant of the Fang family, and he was Fang Yan's father. If they talked about continuing the Tai Chi to bring glory to the Fang family, shouldn't he go first? What right did he have to push all the responsibilities and obligations onto his own son? Just because Fang Yan was his son? Lu Wan also knew that what she said was too harsh. But for the happiness of the child, she had to correct Fang Yixing's wrong point of view and let him have a new understanding of his son. Fang Yan doesn't like to practice martial arts. But he does it because of your request. Fang Yan longs for freedom most, but he carries that responsibility on his back and walks forward step by step. He has the heart of Tai Chi at a young age. Everyone praises him as a young genius. In Swallow Dock, how many kids are better than our Fang Yan? Did he bring shame to the Fang family? Did he make the Fang family feel disappointed? Who cares about the face of the Fang family more than him? Who cares about the honor of the Fang family more than him? He was beaten by that girl from the Yi family year after year. A young man like him cares about his honor the most. But did he give in? Did he escape? When the heart of Tai Chi suddenly disappeared, who was the most panicked? Who was the most sad? Can you understand the pressure he was under at that time? Have you ever thought about it from his point of view? Why did he stay? For the honor of the Fang family, to show the backbone of the men of the Fang family, to let everyone know that he was not a genius? To let everyone know that his heart of Tai Chi was just a flash in the pan? To let him be beaten again in front of everyone? Fang Yixing, Fang Yan is your son, not our enemy. How can you be so cruel to him? He doesn't even dare to go home now. Do you want me to lose this son? Fang Yixing was silent for a long time. He sighed and said, "Ask him to come back." What's the use of asking him to come back? He is afraid that you will be angry, not me. What do you want? You call our son and ask him to come back, Lu Wan said. Only if you call him in person will it be effective. The muscles on Fang Yixing's face twitched. That bastard made him lose face, and he had to call him to come back for the spring festival? Wasn't this bullying? You don't want to call? If you don't call, I won't call either. Just prepare to lose this son, Lu Wan said stubbornly. You are being unreasonable. Fang Yixing was extremely angry. You are being rude. Although the child died disgracefully, haven't you heard that? His heart of Tai Chi has been revived, and it's more powerful than before. Moreover, that Japanese sword god was defeated by him. A few days ago, the old master received congratulatory letters from his old friends, congratulating him for having a good grandson. The old master was very happy and asked me when Fang Yan would come back. I won't call. Fang Yixing said. If you want to call, do it yourself. After Fang Yixing said that, he turned around and walked to the study with the book in his hand. Bang! After the door was closed, Fang Yixing's expression immediately became gloomy. He walked back and forth in the study, from left to right, and from right to left. He opened the ink box and wanted to write a piece of calligraphy, but he didn't have any interest in picking up the brush. When he threw the brush into the inkstone, a smear of ink flew up and splashed on the back of his hand. When he wiped it with his hand, it became a pool of irregular black stain. Fang Yixing walked to the sofa and sat down. He looked at the telephone on the table and didn't move his eyes for a long time. He reached out his hand, grabbed the phone, and was about to dial a number. After dialing 2 numbers, he was irritated and put the phone down. He was restless. Seeing her husband enter the study, Lu Wan was sad. The men in this family were too proud. For the sake of their own face, they even abandoned their son. They were not even willing to call their son. Wasn't such a father too unqualified? Mom, I'm back. A familiar voice suddenly sounded. Lu Wan turned around and saw her son, Fang Yan, standing at the door and looking at her with a smile. A delicate face, a shy smile, and a piece of snow on his raised eyebrows. Fang Yan? Lu Wan couldn't believe her eyes. Her son just told her on the phone that he wouldn't come home for the spring festival. How did he stand in front of her in the blink of an eye? It's me. I'm back. Fang Yan patted the snow on his body and strode into the hall. Fong Ying carried a big box with difficulty. Fong Haohan, who was sweaty, carried a cloth bag and followed Fong Yen into the house. These two guys carried the box and walked all the way, but it wasn't as hard as walking from the yard to the door. Lu Wan grabbed her son's hand and asked in surprise, "Didn't you say you were going to spend the spring festival in Huaqing and wouldn't come back?" "I thought so at first, but after calling you, I thought I should come back. You said you would think about it?" "I've thought about it very quickly." "About 2 seconds," Fong Yen said embarrassedly. "You said you should say hello before coming back," Lu Wan said. "I haven't had time to stew lamb and scorpion for you. I said hello to you." "When?" Fong Yen pointed at the doorstep and said, "I just stood there and said, I said, Mom, I'm back. I was saying hello to you." Chapter 328. Lu Wan was such a gentle woman, but she had the urge to strangle Fong Yen and bury him in the snow. Was he really born by her? How could she give birth to a son with such a character? If she still couldn't understand Fong Yan's trick, then Lu Wan had grown up in a scholarly family in vain. People who read more were naturally smarter than ordinary people. The moment she saw her son appear at the door, she understood what her son was up to. This bastard was worried that she would be bombarded by the family when she came back, so he called in advance to say that he would not be home for the spring festival. Receiving such a call was naturally very sad. When she couldn't help but stand up to speak for him and had a civil war with Fong Yixing, who was most angry about his escape, he suddenly appeared at the door. Wasn't this adding fuel to the fire? Lu Wan felt very sorry for her husband. It was pitiful enough to give birth to such a son, but he was also ridiculed and scolded by her. "You came back a long time ago, right?" Lu Wan looked at Fong Yen and asked. "It's not early," Fong Yen said. "I just got home." "I mean, you decided to come back to Yanjing for the spring festival a long time ago, and you came back early, but you didn't call me in advance." "I did call, but you lied to me and said that you wouldn't be home for the spring festival, which made me sad for a while." "Mom, I also wanted to give you a surprise," Fong Yen said embarrassedly. "Surprise? Hee, it's really a surprise." Lu Wan waved at Fong Yen. "Fong Yen, come here and let Mom have a look." Fong Yen opened his eyes wide and looked at Lu Wan with vigilance, saying, "Mom, you don't want to hit me, do you?" Lu Wan rolled her eyes at her son and said with a smile, "Why would I hit you? You are my son. I just want to see if you have lost weight, whether you eat well and sleep well outside. Actually, I'm fine." Fong Yen moved towards Lu Wan step by step. "But I want to maintain my figure, so I don't dare to eat too much." "But Fong Ying is a little fatter." I'm fat, I'm fat," Fong Ying echoed, trying to attract his mother's attention. What made him sad was that what he was doing was useless. No one even looked at him. Fong Haohan patted him on the shoulder and said sympathetically, "No one looked at me either." It would have been better if Fong Haohan hadn't said anything. Hearing these comforting words, Fong Ying's tears almost flowed out. It was too damned sad. Fong Yen spent a lot of effort to move in front of Lu Wan and said, "Mom, what do you want to see?" Lu Wan suddenly grabbed Fong Yan's ear and pulled his body towards her. Fong Yen cried out in pain and said, "It hurts, it hurts." "Mom, be gentle, I'm going to be disfigured." "What do I want to see? What do you think I want to see?" Lu Wan scolded angrily. "I just want to see whether your face is thicker or not." How can you torment your own parents like this?" "Why did I give birth to a son like you? You called home to lie and made me quarrel with your father. I'm going to pull your ear off." "Mom, I'm wrong." "Mom, I was wrong. I didn't want to do this, but Fong Yingxiong said that I should call home to inform them. Fong Haohan also said that it would give people a pleasant surprise. First, you'll be disappointed, then I'll suddenly appear in front of you. They all said that you'll be very happy this way. It's all my fault for believing in their slanderous words." Fong Yen betrayed Fong Yingxiong and Fong Haohan without hesitation. What was the use of a martial nephew? Wasn't it used to be a scapegoat? As expected, Lu Wan glanced at Fong Ying and Fong Haohan fiercely and said with a murderous look, "Fong Ying, Fong Haohan." Fong Ying and Fong Haohan looked at each other. They both had a kind of determination to pull Fang Yan down even if they were to be cut into pieces. Fang Yingying ran to Lu Wan with the big leather box in his arms and put it down. He knelt down with a thud and kowtowed 3 times. He hugged Lu Wan's leg and cried, "Madam, I miss you so much. How are you? I'm going to find Junior Marshal Uncle. I can't be filial to you. You must take good care of yourself. When you are hungry, remember to eat. When you are cold, remember to add clothes." Seeing that Lu Wan's face was getting darker and darker, Fang Yingying realized that he had acted too much. He hurriedly opened the big box in front of him and said attentively, "Madam, look. These are all the gifts your daughter-in-law chose for you. There must be something you like." Daughter-in-law? Lu Wan was stunned. Fang Yan got married outside? Daughter-in-law sent gifts. Sure enough, this trick worked well. Lu Wan's attention was immediately diverted. The muscles on Fang Yan's face kept twitching. He had an impulse to cut Fang Yingying 1,000 times and throw him out to feed the dogs. "You bastard son of a bitch, why do you have to touch my sore spot? Do you want me to live a peaceful life? Do you have any morality or loyalty?" Seeing that Fang Yingying had used up all his tricks, Fang Haohen did not want to show weakness. He knelt down in front of Lu Wan with a thud. After kowtowing 3 times, he shouted, "Madam, I kowtow to you. Fang Haohen was ordered by my master to look for Junior Marshal Uncle. I didn't let my master down. I finally found Junior Marshal Uncle in Huaqing. Originally, we wanted to take Junior Marshal Uncle back to Yanjing immediately. But Junior Marshal Uncle has joined the work in Huaqing. He is determined to teach his students what he has learned. This ambition is not small. Hero and I dare not disturb him. We can only accompany him. Cooking is my daily work. Hero and I take turns to do the laundry and mop the floor. We eat after Junior Marshal Uncle eats. We sleep after Junior Marshal Uncle sleeps. We never let Junior Marshal Uncle starve or freeze for a day. We have the kindness of the Fang family and my mother's care. All the grievances are not grievances. All the hardships are not hard. We just want to give my mother an explanation when we come back. We will be satisfied." Lu Wan was about to cry. She stroked Fang Haohen's head and said, "Hero, you have worked hard. I know you are a good boy. You and Hero are both good boys. Your master is too selfish. Fang Yan is a bastard. We shouldn't have looked for him." Now Fang Yan's cheeks were not only trembling. His whole body was shaking. So hateful. It's so hateful. He hunted wild geese all day long. Today, he was pecked blind by 2 small geese. Isn't the truth the opposite of what they said? Fang Yan wanted to kick Fang Yingying and Fang Haohen's butts. He scolded, "You 2 bastards. Touch your conscience. Tell my mother, who is taking care of who in Huaqing. Whose food are you eating? Whose house are you living in? How did you survive in Huaqing when you are penniless? Tell my mother clearly." Unfortunately, he forgot that his ear was still in Lu Wan's hand. Seeing that Fang Yan wanted to beat her, Lu Wan was even angrier. She pulled hard, and Fang Yan's kick failed. Lu Wan slapped Fang Yan's head and shouted, "You are such a wastrel. When you are at home, you have everything you need. When did you do housework? If it weren't for Fang Yingying and Fang Haohen, how could you survive in Huaqing? You don't know how to repay kindness, and you even touch your benefactor. Fang Yan, you are so disappointing." Fang Yan cried. He wanted to run away from home. This home was so dark that he couldn't feel any warmth. The city is getting dark. When love passes by, how many people can be happy? No one loves me. No one waits for me. I don't think I'll be lonely. The people in this city are too cold and weak. I'm the only one left. I've walked too much alone, and my tears keep rolling. Please save your love for me. My heart is so cold, waiting for you to hurt me. Slap. Fang Yan's head was slapped again. Also, what's wrong with my wife? There are so many girls. What's the job? Is she beautiful or not? You didn't even tell your family before you got married? Are you going to get married because you have a baby? You came back this time just to tell me the truth, right? If I don't agree, you're going to elope with someone. Explain it to me. Fang Yan was completely dumbfounded. Mom, have you watched too many melodramatic dramas at 8 o'clock? What do you mean by getting married because you have a baby? Come home and tell me the truth? Elope with someone? What are you talking about? I don't understand at all, okay? At this moment, even the originators, Fang Yingying and Fang Haohen, became idiots. They opened their mouths wide and couldn't say anything for a long time. They only mentioned the word daughter-in-law. They didn't say anything else. Junior Martial Uncle, you should be clear before you kill someone. Mom, can you let go of me first? Fang Yan said with red eyes. Let go of me first. I'll explain it to you. Let go of me and listen to your explanation? You can make phone calls and lie while standing in front of your house. If I let go of you, can you still believe what you say? Lu Wan sneered. Tell me quickly. Otherwise, I'll use all my strength. Although I haven't learned Kung Fu, I still have the strength to pull off an ear. Mom, this is a misunderstanding. That's Fang Yingying talking nonsense. How can you have a daughter-in-law? Ouch, ouch, ouch. What do you mean? What do you mean by how can you have a daughter-in-law? I have a son. Why don't I have a daughter-in-law? Can't you even find a wife? Lu Wan was so angry that her teeth itched. No wonder your dad said you ran away from the battle. You're shameless and afraid of death. You can't even find a girlfriend. Do you still deserve to be a man of our Fang family? Fang Yan was completely desperate. He raised his face 45 degrees to look at the gloomy sky outside. The snow was flying and the cold wind was howling. It was just like his damp mood at the moment. Mom, I've explained so much. I just want to ask one question, Fang Yan asked with a sad voice. Which family has the best excavator technology? Chapter 329. Lu Wan's character was very gentle, and her appearance was very classical. She could play the role of a beauty in ancient times by wearing a palace dress and changing her hairstyle. Fang Yan's appearance was more inherited from his mother, which was also the reason why he looked so delicate. Hearing the extremely strange question asked by Fang Yan, Lu Wan was extremely shocked and asked, What excavator technology? Fang Yan, what are you talking about? Find a good excavator and let them dig a hole to bury me. Bury it deeper so that I can't help but climb out again, Fang Yan said in a sad tone. Anyway, you won't believe anything I say. Lu Wan then let go of Fang Yan's ear and said seriously, Then tell me, what's going on? You don't have a daughter-in-law for the time being, Fang Yan said with absolute certainty. The person they are talking about is a very good friend of mine. Lu Wan obviously still had some doubts about her son's words. Her eyes moved to Fang Yingying and Fang Haohen again, with an expression that said if they dared to lie to her, she would really find an excavator to dig a hole and bury them alive. Fang Yingying and Fang Haohen looked at each other and knew that they could only grit their teeth and persist to the end. Just now, in order to change the topic, they revealed the matter of Fang Yan and Lu Chaoga. If they denied their previous words now, Lu Wan would definitely kill them. Madam, if Junior Martial Uncle says no, then no. Fang Yingying glanced at Fang Yan carefully, as if he had to say so because he was afraid of Fang Yan's power and influence. However, when we were in Huaqing, we all lived in Miss Lu's house. What? Lu Wan widened her eyes. Cohabitation? Fang Yan even cohabitation with a girl? Mom, don't look at me like this. I did live in her house, but that house is vacant. She usually doesn't live there, Junior Martial Uncle didn't lie. Miss Lu only comes to stay for a night occasionally. Fang Haohen loyally helped Fang Yan get away with it. Lu Wan stared at Fang Yan for a long time and asked, Is Miss Lu's name Lu Chaoga? Fang Yan's eyes widened. Even Fang Yingying and Fang Haohen were confused. They only called her Miss Lu and didn't seem to call her by her name. How did my mother know? Strange? Do you think I don't know what you've done in Flower City? Do you think that we can ignore you and pretend that we don't have a son like you after you leave? Lu Wan felt sour in her heart and said, You haven't arrived in Flower City, but we already know your whereabouts. We know everything you've done in Flower City. I call your grandma every night. You've come up with a new teaching method, you've had conflicts with others, Your class got the first place in the language exam. I know everything. Although your father said that he was angry and never asked about you, every time I called your grandma, he would sit next to the telephone and pretend to read the newspaper. I know he also misses you. Fang Yan, you're our child. As a parent, who would really be angry with their own child? Plop. Fang Yan knelt down on the ground. Mom, I'm sorry I let you down, Fang Yan said with red eyes. I've tried very hard, really tried very hard, but I always let you down again and again. Lu Wan reached out to pull Fang Yan up from the ground and said, You didn't let us down? It's just that we had too high expectations of you. If we randomly found an opponent for you, how could you fail for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and then again? But we wanted you to find Yi Ro, in the whole Swallow Dock, who can be her opponent. Others can't beat her, so why should my son beat her? You've tried hard, we know, you don't like to practice martial arts, but you forced yourself to enter this field, and you can also achieve such achievements. How can I be disappointed with you? You don't know how proud I am. I can't wait to let the whole world know that I have a good son. Lu Wan bent over and patted the dust on Fang Yan's knees, saying, I know Lu Chaoga, your grandma told me. She said that you two often went to eat together at home, and she was very happy to see you two sitting together. She also invited me to Flower City to have a look, hoping to facilitate the marriage between you two. I didn't agree. I'm afraid that I'll make you nervous if I go there. You've worked hard for your family for so many years, and you've been wronged for so many years. I hope you can live a relaxed and happy life in Flower City. You can live as you want, and you can live as you want. Don't think about anything and don't consider anything. Just do as you like. In addition, I don't want to interfere with your feelings too early. You've grown up and you're no longer a child. It's natural for you to find a girl to fall in love with. Our Fang Yan is very smart and responsible. I believe you can handle your own affairs. Lu Wan reached out to hold Fang Yan's wrist and said, You've been running around for a whole day. You must be hungry, right? The kitchen is ready for dinner. Go eat first. Let's talk while eating. Fang Yingying and Fang Haohan also got up from the ground. Fang Yingying bent over and patted the dust on Fang Haohan's knees, and Fang Haohan also patted the dust on Fang Yingying's knees. Then, the two brothers looked at each other and followed them to the dining room. When everyone in the living room had gone out, the door of the study was opened quietly. Fang Yixing listened to the voices of his son, Fang Yan, and his wife, Lu Wan, as well as the quarrel between Fang Yingying and Fang Haohan. He couldn't help but grin. He walked back to the desk and spread out the rice paper. He picked up the brush and used the ink to write 5 strong characters in one go. Everything will be fine as long as you have a son. After eating a plate of dumplings, when Fang Yan was about to order a second plate, Fang Yixing walked into the dining room. Fang Yingying and Fang Haohan hurriedly got up. Fang Yan also stood up and shouted, Dad, you still have the face to come back? Fang Yixing snorted coldly and glanced sideways at Fang Yan. However, his tone was much gentler. It didn't seem like he was reprimanding his son, but more like he was joking with his son. Fang Yan looked at Fang Yixing and said sternly, Father, I know that my action of running away from home has made you very embarrassed and disgraced you. I was in the wrong this time, I was too impulsive. I apologize to you. Fang Yixing originally thought that Fang Yan would quarrel with him, but he didn't expect him to react like this. You're so tactful, how can I scold you? If you're wrong, you're wrong. If you're wrong, you have to apologize. Fang Yan said with a smile. I also regretted it, but at that time, my heart was in a mess. I really didn't know what to do. I didn't even know who to discuss it with. You also know that I'm too prideful. The heart of Tai Chi was gone just like that. How could I have the face to complain to others? Fang Yixing sighed softly, looked at Fang Yan and said, Let bygones be bygones. It's good that you're back. It's good that you're back. Dad, let's have a drink? Fang Yan said. Fang Yixing usually didn't drink, but when he heard his son's suggestion, he was a little moved. He pulled out a chair and sat down, saying, Let's have a drink. Fang Yingying hurriedly ran out to get the wine. This kid is getting more and more slippery. Did you go to see your grandpa? Fang Yixing asked. I'll go in a while. Fang Yan said. Did you underestimate the enemy? I'll go in a while. Fang Yan said. I also brought him good wine. And the Yi family, I have to go and see them too. Fang Yixing said. I will. Fang Yan said with a smile. Prepare some gifts. I'll go to the Yi family to visit the old man. Fang Yixing and Lu Wan looked at each other. They both felt that their son's return this time was a little abnormal. In the past, it was more difficult for him to go to the Yi family than to kill him. Why didn't he resist at all this time? When Fang Yan went to the backyard to see his grandpa, the old man, Fang Hui, was sitting on a chair and soaking his feet. The weather was cold, and the blood in the old man's legs were not smooth. It was easy to get cold. Soaking his feet with medicinal soup could promote blood circulation and drive away the cold, which was good for the old man's health. Seeing Fang Yan enter the room, Fang Hui laughed out loud. He pointed at Fang Yan and said, Kid, you're indeed Fang Hui's grandson. Even though you lost miserably, you still ran with vigor. Grandpa, I'll take that as a compliment. Fang Yan said with a smile. He walked to the old man and asked the nanny who was washing his grandpa's feet to leave. He continued the work that the nanny had not finished. He took his grandpa's feet out of the wooden bucket, wiped them with a clean towel, and carefully massaged the acupoints on his feet. He was much better at this than the nanny. Fang Hui looked at his grandson with a face full of love and said, That old fisherman called me and said that you don't know how to respect the old and love the young, and even wanted to trick him into becoming your fighter. My grandson wants a little help from him, and that's because he thinks highly of him. Why doesn't he look at himself? His old arms and legs are useless now. Fang Yan laughed and said, He's really your friend? I thought he was lying to me, so I thought, no matter if you're my grandpa's friend or not, I'll beat the bad guys first. But he's so stingy he won't even help a little. Everyone has their own ambitions, you can't force them, Fang Hui said. But he also wanted me to give you a warning. What warning? It's good for young people to be hot-blooded, but don't shed blood so easily, Fang Hui said. Fang Yan's eyes became fierce and said, Is he warning me or threatening me? Fang Hui looked at Fang Yan and asked, Fang Yan, tell Grandpa, who did you offend outside? Otherwise, that old thing, the fisherman, wouldn't have called me and said such a baffling thing. Grandpa, I'll take care of it, don't worry. Bullshit, Fang Hui shouted. Your problem is our Fang family's problem. If someone bullies you, they're bullying our Fang family. If you bully others, it's our Fang family bullying others. If there's spit, it's my face. If there's a knife, it's me who'll block it. Do you think it's your turn? Chapter 330. Fang Hui had thick eyebrows and big eyes, and his bald head was shining. His gaze was like a knife, staring at his grandson, as if he would poke 1,000 holes into the kid if he was dissatisfied. If there's spit, let it splash on my face. If there's a knife, let me block it with my body. Only those who love you deeply will say such words to you. Only say a few words to people, don't give up all your heart. This sentence had been used as a golden saying for thousands of years. Everyone was wearing layers of masks, looking left and right, scanning back and forth, extremely vigilant and careful. Everyone was so tired that they wished they could find a place with no one around and cry their hearts out. However, it was not like this at home. It was warm, comfortable, and caring for each other. When you were sick, no matter how late it was, Father would rush out to buy medicine for you. When you were hungry, no matter how busy Mother was, she would put down her work to make a bowl of dumplings or a bowl of noodles filled with soup. After thinking for a while, she would fiercely put 2 fried eggs on it. This kind of love was not mixed with the slightest bit of water. Fang Yan's eyes were red, and his heart was full of bitterness. He lowered his head and massaged the acupoints on his grandfather's feet. Because of being bedridden for a long time, the skin and flesh on his legs were thin and shriveled, like a piece of rotten old wood that had long lost its vitality. Grandpa was old. Fang Yixing didn't care about family affairs. He wrote poems and paintings, and he was more like a natural and unrestrained scholar. Therefore, the young Fang Yan and the old Fang Hui had to bear more pressure. At his age, with such a body, his grandfather should be enjoying the rest of his life, But he still had to work hard for the Fong family and for the younger generation. Fong Yan's heart was filled with guilt and unease. As if sensing Fong Yan's emotions, Fong Hui reached out and patted the back of Fong Yan's hand, saying, "Don't feel guilty, don't blame yourself, and don't have any psychological pressure. What do we old people want? Isn't it just for the safety of our descendants?" That old thing, the fisherman, refused to obey anyone his whole life. When we were young, we had a lot of fights, but he called a few days ago and praised me for having a good grandson. You see, I have already gained face here. Even if I close my eyes and go down to see our ancestors, I can still stand in front of them with my back straight. I can say loudly that I didn't bring shame to the Fong family. Grandpa, I was too mischievous in the past few years and often made you angry. Fong Yan said with a smile. I've experienced many things on this trip, and I've learned many things. I won't do it again. I want to be a good person. You don't have to think or ask anything in the future. Just read some books and practice boxing. When you're free, I'll push you out to bask in the sun. Try to live to 300 or 500 years old. Fong Hui let out a hearty laugh that shook the night sky. He patted the back of his grandson's hand hard and said, "With such a grandson, what else can I ask for in life? What is there to seek in life? It's still a request. Let's just ask him to live for 300 to 500 years, Fong Yan said with a smile. The smile on Fong Hui's face disappeared. He looked at his grandson lovingly and said, "Fong Yan, do you know? You've been sensible since you were young. That's not what you used to say," Fong Yan said with a smile. In the past, he often fought with people outside and provoked chickens and dogs. It was not an exaggeration to say that he was ignored by dogs. There were often children's parents who came to his door, and then his family would lock him in the house and punish him. When he was a child, he was whipped and stood on the pole. The so-called standing on the pole was upside down and had to carry a bowl of water on the tip of his toes. At that time, Fong Yan was still young. He was sweating profusely after 5 minutes, and his whole body was shaking after 10 minutes. After half an hour, he was half dead. Although Fong Yixing was strict with his son, he couldn't bear to punish him like this. However, Fong Hui wouldn't be polite with Fong Yan. When he heard that his grandson was causing trouble, he glared at him and shouted, "Stand on the pole for half an hour to wake up your brain." Therefore, after standing on the pole for half an hour, Fong Yan would often be paralyzed on the ground in a daze like a pile of mud. "Why did you fight with people?" "That's because some people are too much. Grandpa's leg disease relapsed and he's paralyzed. Your father gave up halfway on the path of martial arts. In their eyes, he's no different from a useless person. He underestimated the enemy and was trapped in a demonic miasma. When others see that our Fong family is in decline, they want to bully us. The hundreds of families in our swallow dock all have a fighting spirit in their bones. When they scold you, you have to scold them back. If you dare to turn around and walk away, the next time you see them, they dare to kick you, they dare to slap you in the face. I'm useless, your father can't be hit, underestimate the enemy, sleep more than awake all day. You've seen all of this. So, you stood out at such a young age. Someone scolded me as an old cripple. Do you fight?" "Yes," Fong Yan said. "Someone scolded your father as an old trash. Do you fight?" "Yes," Fong Yan said again. "Someone scolded him as an old drunkard who underestimated the enemy. Do you fight?" "Yes, no," Fong Yan said with some uncertainty. "He really is an old drunkard. I also call him an old drunkard." Slap. Fong Yan's head received a slap. "Don't you know how bitter it is to underestimate the enemy?" Fong Hui scolded. "How dare we bully our Fong family when we underestimate the enemy? Who dares to say anything harsh to me, an old cripple, and your father, that old trash? If it weren't for the fact that we underestimated the enemy, who knows how hard it would have been for our Fong family." "Grandpa, I know." Fong Yan's head hurt. He said gloomily, "It's a fact that he likes to drink and is an old drunkard. But he's the only old drunkard that I respect, admire, and even somewhat worship. He could still create drunken crane riding the wind when he was that drunk. This footwork helped me a lot when we fought against the Japanese sword god, So, be more polite when you talk to the enemy next time. Don't be impolite. If I really did that, I'm afraid I won't even be able to enter his small courtyard in the future, Fang Yen said. Fang Hui thought about it and said with some annoyance, "Do as you please. A bunch of impolite lunatics. People will only be afraid when they're crazy," Fang Yen said with a smile. Yes. So at that time, you would beat people up every now and then. When people scolded me as an old cripple and your father as an old trash who underestimated the enemy as an old drunkard, you beat up their sons and grandsons until they were bleeding and screaming. Fang Hui sighed softly and said, "We old guys can't do it anymore, but we still have the younger generation. Plus, our younger generation is better than theirs. As parents, don't they like to compete with their children's grades? You can be considered to have brought honor to our Fang family, winning every fight." Fang Yen smiled bitterly and said, "Your heart is like a mirror. Why did you still punish me so severely back then?" "It wasn't punishment, it was training. Special training. Other than me, Fang Hui, whose grandfather would train his grandson like an animal." Fang Hui said proudly, "To make you stronger, to make you more powerful. I'm afraid that you'll lose the next fight. At that time, our Fang family won't even have the last piece of cloth to hide our shame." "You're really astute," Fang Yen said. "There are times when I've miscalculated," Fang Hui said. "At that time, I wanted to see where your bottom line was, how far you could go, but you actually won all the way. Even the genius of the Bailey family, Madman Bailey, was defeated by you. This became big news in the entire Swallow Dock. At that time, I was thinking, it seems like you haven't reached the end yet, so I'll pressure you a bit more. Find someone more powerful to pressure, and see how deep your potential is." Fang Hui looked at Fang Yen a bit embarrassedly and said, "Originally, I wanted to find Bai Xiu, but the Bai family refused. But in this Swallow Dock, only the girl from the Yi family was suitable, so I shamelessly went to the Yi family to challenge them." When the Yi family saw that someone dared to challenge them, they were naturally furious, so the girl from the Yi family was a bit heavier. The Yi family's attitude toward our Fang family was a bit worse. "I can't beat Yi Ro, I lost the first time we sparred," Fang Yen said with a painful expression, as if he couldn't bear to recall the past. At that time, Yi Ro was really ruthless, and she didn't show any mercy. She sent him flying into the sky, and then stepped on him, breaking the door frame, and sinking into the mud wall. Sometimes he even wondered if this girl wanted to kill him and end it all. Otherwise, it was just a sparring match. Why did it look like there was a deep hatred? Since I've already lost, it proves that my potential ends here. Why do I have to compete every year, year after year? I can't accept it, Fang Hui said. At that time, I thought, my grandson lost this time, but maybe he'll win next time? But I lost the second time, I know. But what if you win the third time? Fang Hui said with a serious face. You also know that the girl from the Yi family is known as the #1 among the younger generation in the Jianghu. If you beat her, who would dare to look down on our Fang family? A genius is about to rise, and they're not afraid of our revenge? So, I shamelessly challenged the Yi family for the third time. Wait, Fang Yen suddenly raised his head and stared at Fang Hui with his eyes wide open. You said, the third time? Didn't we agree to have a fight every year? How can that be? Who would want to do the same thing for 10 years? Fang Hui shook his head. The girl from the Yi family won the first year, but she didn't want to fight you again the second year. How did you convince them? I went to the Yi family and told them that they were afraid, weren't they? Otherwise, why didn't they dare to fight? My grandson trained hard for a year, and this year he wants to take revenge. How can he not fight? Chapter 331. Haha, the Yi family is just a bunch of cowards. Do you think you can always win after winning once? My grandson is a genius. He practices hard every day just to defeat you, Ruru, and get revenge for last year's humiliation. If you have the guts, fight with my grandson again. My grandson Fang Yen told me that this time, the Fang family will definitely beat the Yi family. Our Fang family will regain the first place on the Qingyun list. My grandson, Fang Yen, should be the first in the Neijiang Lake. thinking about a bald old man in a wheelchair roaring in the Yi family's hall, and how the Yi family was unable to do anything to a paralyzed old man. Fang Yan's entire body trembled with anger, and he broke out in a cold sweat from the lingering fear. It was a combination of ice and fire. What a proud family the Yi family was. It was a prosperous family with many talents. Since the birth of Yiru, a rare martial arts genius, the Yi family became even more arrogant and domineering. Just like what Fang Yan knew, even the chickens of the Yi family were more arrogant than the chickens of other families. The people of the Yi family were even more arrogant. Who did they usually look up to? However, Fang Hui, the grandpa of the Fang family, went to the Yi family to provoke them and called them cowards. He finally understood why Yiru looked at him like a knife every time she saw him. He also understood that every time he competed with Yiru, the Yi family's mouths were more vicious than the other, and they wanted to cut off a few pieces of his flesh. He also understood why Grandpa never showed up in the competition, saying that he was not feeling well. After knowing the truth, Fang Yan suddenly felt that the beatings he had suffered over the years were not unfair at all. Even if he was beaten to death by Yiru, it was because she was kind and gave him a discount, instead of crippling him and humiliating him for the rest of his life. Fang Yan grasped Fang Hui's feet tightly. He was afraid that he would lose control and crush the bones of his feet. He looked at Fang Hui with infinite grievance and said, "Grandpa, how could you do such a thing? Why didn't you tell me in advance? Do you know how terrible Yiru is? I have nightmares every night when I think of her. Of course I know that girl from the Yi clan is powerful. Otherwise, how could she be qualified to be my grandson's opponent?" Fang Hui said matter-of-factly. Then his bright eyes were filled with a smile as he said, "If it weren't for that, we wouldn't have been able to force another genius with the heart of Tai Chi out of the Fang clan. Think about it, when did you comprehend the heart of Tai Chi?" Fang Yan pointed to his left leg and said, "This leg was broken by Yi Ro when I was recuperating in bed. Isn't that right? Pressure gives you motivation, oppression gives you resistance, and competition gives you continuous improvement. If it weren't for Yi Wen-ro, if it weren't for me begging her to beat you up every year, would you have practiced martial arts so hard?" Fang Yan opened his mouth, not knowing how to answer this question. It sounded like Grandpa was really doing it for his own good, but why did he feel that something was not quite right? It didn't take long for Fang Yan to figure out what the problem was. He looked at Fang Hui and said, "Aren't you afraid that the Fang clan will beat me to death if you provoke them like this?" Fang Hui glanced at Fang Yan and said, "I'm still alive, aren't I? The path of martial arts is like climbing a dangerous mountain or sailing a boat in the raging sea. It's very common to get injured or even lose your life in the face of hardships and obstacles. Your father, let's not talk about your father. Let's talk about underestimating your enemy. Underestimating your enemy made him a genius of his generation, but he couldn't get out of it and almost became half a cripple. Isn't it also because of the pursuit and dedication of higher martial arts? There are countless cases like this, but how many people would give up because of this? If you can choke to death on rice and water, what's a little pain for a hot-blooded man like me? When you enter the realm and reach the other side, you'll find that what you've suffered before is really nothing." Grandpa is right. Fang Yan nodded helplessly. "That's why we owe the Yi clan a great favor." Fang Hui said, "I'll keep it in mind." Fang Yan said, after being beaten up for so many years, he still owed a great favor. Who could he find to reason with? Fang Hui took a towel and threw it to Fang Yan and said, "Wipe it, no need to rub it. It's useless even if you rub it. Go wash your hands and warm a pot of wine. Let's have a drink and enjoy the snow." "You can't drink. I'll make you a cup of goat's milk," Fang Yan said. "Bullshit. Who said I can't drink? As a drink, then drink. Milk? Are you scolding me?" Old urchin, people become urchins when they get old. Fang Yan couldn't dissuade Fang Hui, so he asked the kitchen to warm a pot of plum wine. Fang Yan poured a cup for Fang Hui. Fang Hui took it and drank it in one gulp. He clicked his tongue and said with regret, "It's not satisfying. It's not as satisfying as burning knives." "Just drink it," Fang Yan said with a smile. "I secretly asked someone to warm it for me. I said I wanted to drink it myself. If my mom saw this, she would pull my ear again. Umph, do you need a woman to talk about men's business? Fang Hui glared and shouted. He paused, then sighed and said, It's been hard on your mom these years. She suffered a lot in our Fang family. Because of this, I don't even have the face to raise my head in front of my old friend. Lu Gong is an unyielding man. He has never lowered his head to anyone. His daughter, Sai, it's our Fang family that let the Lu family down. Grandpa and Grandma are both good. They didn't say anything about who let the other down. Fang Yen said with a smile. When he was in Huaqing, what he heard the most was his grandpa and grandma blaming the Fang family for letting him practice martial arts. They thought it was too dangerous to fight and kill all day. They never said how bad their daughter's marriage was and how miserable her life was. Fang Yen knew that his mother, Lu Wan, didn't think that way either. Her life was just a little dull, and she was more or less ridiculed by the neighbors. So what if it's nothing? They don't have to say it, but we can't, Fang Hui said in a deep voice. They raised their daughter and sent her to our family. We have to let their daughter eat well and live a good life. Otherwise, how can we live up to the trust they placed in us? Grandpa is right. The men of the Fang family will never let their women be wronged. Fang Yen knew that Fang Hui was a male chauvinist, so he followed along and said, Don't you still have me? I will definitely let her live a good life in the future. Yes. Our family's hope is on you. Fang Hui said, Open the window and push me to the window. It's still snowing outside? It is. Fang Yen said, Why don't you open the window? It's windy and snowing. If Grandpa's body can't take it, you brat, you're scolding me in a roundabout way. I'm also a martial artist. Who taught you how to underestimate your enemy and your kung fu? Fang Hui sneered. Open the window. Fang Yen had to open the window. A gust of cold wind swept in, like a cold knife scraping on his skin. Snowflakes danced in front of the window. The whole world was covered in ice and snow. The flowers and grass in the yard all turned into ice sculptures. It made people feel happy and cheerful. Fang Hui pulled the blanket off his body and exposed his chest to the wind and snow. He laughed and said, This is good. Pour the wine. Fang Yen took the small pot and poured the wine for Fang Hui. Fang Hui drank it in one gulp and handed the cup over again. He said, Pour the wine. Fang Yen didn't move the pot. He said, I can't do that. I haven't finished my cup yet. We'll split the wine in half. Don't try to take advantage of me. Fang Yen drank the plum wine in his cup in one gulp and poured himself another. Then he poured a cup for his grandpa and a cup for himself. He said, This is fair. Fang Hui laughed and said, You brat. You never want to lose in front of anyone. Of course. You can eat anything but you can't lose. Fang Yen said with a smile. After drinking 2 cups of wine, I finally have a little heat and blood in my body. Tell me, which bastard bullied my grandson? Fang Hui asked. Fang Yen thought for a while and said, Actually, I was just being a busybody. Since you intervened, then it's something you should intervene. There are 2 kinds of people, our own people and outsiders. There are also 2 kinds of things, good things and evil things. If someone does evil things, then it's something we should intervene. Otherwise, what's the point of practicing martial arts? What's the point of living? Grandpa's realm is still higher. Fang Yen flattered him and said with a smile, Someone bullied a girl and wanted to rob her family property. I couldn't stand it, so I helped solve 2 small problems. But in the end, I got stuck in a quagmire and can't get out. Even the ghost fisherman came out. The someone you mentioned can't be an ordinary person, right? Fang Hui went straight to the heart of the matter. I know his name is Jiang Junling. Fang Yen said. Jiang Junling. Fang Hui's tiger eyes shone with a frightening light. His expression was slightly shocked. He said, Is it the one whose son should be like Jiang Junling, Jiang Junling? Fang Yen smiled bitterly and said, Even Grandpa knows this sentence? It seems that I've really offended a great person. But Fang Hui scolded, You're just putting gold on your face. Who doesn't know how to do this kind of thing? I ran to the Yi family and shouted that my grandson, Fang Yan, is the #1 person in the Jianghu. You'll have to do it for real. Fang Yan felt a burning pain on his face, as if someone had slapped him several times. Chapter 332. A pot of plum wine was not enough for the two of them to rinse their mouths. Soon, the pot was empty. Fang Hui looked at Fang Yan expectantly and said, "Warm another pot?" Fang Yan shook his head firmly. "You mustn't, and I won't drink with you. If you do, I'd rather go to bed. Who else in this house has the guts to warm your wine for you except me? Bastard!" Fang Hui cursed angrily. "Don't think that I can't deal with you just because my legs are paralyzed. Aren't you back now? Tomorrow, I'll go to the Yi family and scold them. I'll say that the girl from the Yi family ran to Huaqing and was beaten black and blue by my grandson and ran back crying for her parents. Do you think the Yi family will eat you up?" Fang Yan's face became bitter again as he said, "Grandpa, am I really your grandson? It's fine if the people outside bully me, but you also bully me? Who dares to bully you outside? Didn't that brat from the Jiang family also lose to you?" Fang Yan shook his head with a bitter smile and said, "He doesn't even need to do anything himself. All he has to do is move his lips, and I have to be in danger time and time again. I have to fight for my life and escape from death time and time again. How could he not take advantage of me? If I'm the slightest bit careless, I'll die, and I won't be able to come back to see you. What about him? I've won again and again, but all I've done is cut off some of his branches and leaves. He's still that sturdy and tall tree trunk. When winter passes and spring comes, he'll once again flourish with leaves and become the benchmark and hope for countless people. Grandpa, this is an unfair battle." Fang Hui looked at Fang Yan with burning eyes and said, "Are you afraid?" "Grandpa, I'm not afraid. There is no fear in the martial arts spirit, only fear. I just don't like this kind of oppressive environment. I worry that he will harm my family. I worry that he will harm my friends. I even worry that he will harm my students. I'm not afraid of death, but I don't want to die. I'm not afraid of death, but I'm more afraid of the people I care about dying because of me. I'm your grandfather, so I have the right to speak. I'm not afraid to die. Your father also has the right to speak, and he is not afraid of death. Your mother, your family, your friends, they all have a say. None of us are afraid to die." Fang Hui looked at Fang Yan and asked, "If you were given a second chance, would you still choose to do the same thing? Would he still choose to do that? If he could do it all over again, would he still push Lu Chaoge away from the speeding car? If he could do it all over again, would he still save Qin Yitian from the bomb attack? If he could do it all over again, would he still straighten his back and not give in to Jiang Junling? Yes, he would do it again. If he could do it all over again while saving Lu Chaoge, he would also save the security guard of Sky 1, Lu Jinju. That way, his wife wouldn't be a widow, and his parents wouldn't lose their son. Most importantly, he would be able to see his son call him father. Now that his heart of Tai Chi had entered the starlight realm, he believed that he had the ability to do it. If he could do it all over again, he would still save Qin Yitian from the bomb attack. Not only because she was a girl who admired him, but most importantly, she was his student. It was natural for a teacher to save a student. Not only would he save her, but he would also protect her with his own chest. He wouldn't let her get hurt, and he wouldn't let her use her thin body to block bullets for him. She was known for her intelligence, but she wasn't good at this kind of thing. If he could do it all over again, he would still raise his head and stick out his chest in front of Jiang Junling and not give in. If someone scolded him, he would scold him back. If someone slapped him, he would slap him back dozens of times. This was his spirit, his pride, and the code of conduct and ethics that he had adhered to since he was young. The biggest difference between him and Bai Xiu was that Bai Xiu could endure humiliation and let his face dry. But Fang Yan wouldn't. He wouldn't endure humiliation, because he believed that enduring would only bring him more humiliation. He wouldn't bear any weight, because too much weight would suppress his heart of Tai Chi. He wouldn't let the saliva on his face dry by itself. He would smear the other party's face with saliva. Some people scolded him for being a pervert, some said that he was despicable, and some even said that he was a bitch all the time. But, did he do anything wrong? If I could do it all over again, Fang Yen looked into Fang Hui's eyes and said firmly, I believe that I can do better. If you didn't do anything wrong, then it's someone else's fault, Fang Hui said with a serious expression. Would I blame my grandson for doing a few good things? Maybe other people's parents would do that, but our Fang family doesn't have such family rules and teachings. I know what to do now, Fang Yen said with a serious expression. Be brave, be fearless, and stick to your heart, Fang Hui said. What the heart thinks is what the person wants. Only in this way, the spirit of Tai Chi will not be extinguished, and the heart of Tai Chi will be eternal. The reason why you obtained your heart at such a young age is because you have been living freely all these years and never disobeyed the laws of heaven and humanity. If anyone is retaliated against because of this, I am willing to be a martyr on the path you seek. Fang Yen stood up and bowed deeply to Fang Hui. It's not because I'm kind and selfless. Fang Hui looked at Fang Yen, his old eyes filled with joy, and said, It's because you are my grandson. That's all. Fang Yen had been sitting in the Yi family's hall for half an hour, but no one from the Yi family came out to entertain the guests. She, the maid of the Yi family, said that she would go in to report, but there was no more news. What's more infuriating is that you should at least pour a cup of tea for the guests before you leave, right? Fang Yen was not in a hurry. He knew that the Fang family and the Yi family had not been on good terms over the years, and it was not an exaggeration to say that they had a deep hatred. Because of Grandpa Fang's manipulation and instigation, every time Fang Yen and Yi Rou fought, it was like adding fuel to the fire in the hearts of the two families. If what Grandpa said was true, then the Fang family, or Fang Yen, did indeed owe the Yi family a huge favor. Most importantly, on the eve of his battle with the Japanese sword god Chiba, Yi Rou rushed thousands of miles to help. Although it was said that she was entrusted by the old drunkard, she still rushed to Huaqing and gave Fang Yen the greatest support with her own strength. Fang Yen was grateful to the Yi family, and even more grateful to Yi Rou. After parting in Huaqing, the two of them had not seen each other for a long time. Fang Yen really wanted to talk to Yi Rou. His Taiji heart had entered the starlight realm, how to develop in the future, which direction to cultivate in, these were all difficult problems for him to solve. Yi Rou was known as the #1 genius of the younger generation in the inner pugilistic world, and also a pioneer on the path of cultivation. She would definitely be able to give him a lot of suggestions and solutions. Clang, clang, clang. Fang Yen knew that this was the sound of shoes stepping on the floor. However, if someone didn't know better, they would definitely think that a big monster had come out from some deep forest to harm people. As expected, Yi Fengxing, who looked the least like a member of the Yi family, walked out casually. He glanced at Fang Yen from the corner of his eyes and said while gritting his teeth, You're here to see my cousin? Yi Fengxing was the son of the second of the 3 tigers of the Yi family, Yi Daoxian, and also Yi Rou's cousin. The members of the Yi family all had excellent genes. The men were handsome and the women were beautiful. However, when it came to Yi Fengxing, the genes had mutated. Not only was he fat, but he was also ugly. Therefore, when he was young, everyone had been arguing over whether to call him Little Fatty or Little Clown. In the end, they even started fighting. Fang Yen was a firm supporter of Little Fatty, because he felt that calling someone Little Clown was too insulting. He wouldn't do such a thing. Fang Yen pointed at the mountain-like pile of gifts on the table and said, Do you think this is the style of someone looking for your cousin? Oh, 100-year-old ginseng, a big box of cordyceps, and a pair of deer ears, what's going on? Is your Fang family here to propose marriage? Even if you're here to propose marriage, it should be Elder Fang himself, right? Yi Fengxing flipped through the pile of gifts and said with a smile, You're not qualified. Whether I'm qualified or not is not up to you to decide. Whether you're qualified to receive me is up to me to decide. Fang Yen stared at Yi Fengxing with an unfriendly gaze and said, I came to visit the elders of the Yi family, and they told you to receive me? No one told me to come out to receive you, Yi Fengxing said. Then why did you come out? I saw that you looked quite pitiful sitting here by yourself, so I came out to talk to you. What's going on? You don't want to? Yi Fengxing acted like he was about to leave and said, If you don't want to, then I'm not going to keep you company. Today, I've asked Zhuan Jing and Li Xiaoyan to take care of the sparrows. You sit here first, I'm going to get busy. Wait, Fang Yan shouted. Only then did Yi Fengsheng sit back down with a proud expression and said, You don't feel good being ignored by the Yi family, do you? I thought of it when I came here, Fang Yan said seriously. Where's elder ancestor? Is she still in good health? I haven't seen her for a long time, at least let me kowtow to her when I see her, right? The Yi family was a rare family of 4 generations living under the same roof. The elder ancestor was Yi Wenrou and Yi Fengsheng's great-grandmother, an old woman who had already lived for more than 100 years. Even now, the old woman's teeth were still very good, and her mind was quick. When the weather was good, she could still be seen looking around and walking around Swallow Dock. If Fang Yan could see her and please her, she could help put in a few words, and the grudge between the 2 families would be resolved. Fang Yan's trip would not be in vain. You want to see our elder ancestor? Don't even think about it. On such a cold day, she doesn't plan to go out in the warm room, and no one dares to let her out. Yi Fengsheng mercilessly dispelled this idea of Fang Yan's. Then I'll go to the warm room and kowtow to her, Fang Yan said. The Yi family's warm room, it's not like I haven't been there before, haha. Yi Fengsheng pointed at Fang Yan and laughed. You still dare to say you're not here to see my cousin? Chapter 333. Fang Yan's eyes lit up and said, Yi Rou is also in the warm pavilion? Isn't that obvious? The person the ancestor loves the most is my cousin. At this time, the ancestor is in the warm pavilion, so of course my cousin has to be in the warm pavilion. Yi Fengsheng looked at Fang Yan with disdain and said, Don't tell me you want to pick up my cousin? I have to say, I really admire your courage. Competing every year, getting beaten every year, getting beaten every year, and still competing every year. You've been beaten by my cousin for so many years, aren't you afraid? I'm not afraid, I'm very grateful to her in my heart. Fang Yan said. Grandfather was right, if there wasn't a strong opponent like Yi Rou, if there wasn't the annual competition between the Yi and Fang families, if there wasn't the worry of being ridiculed and looked down upon, if there wasn't the fear of his face being disfigured and his legs being broken, Fang Yan wouldn't have been able to train as hard as he did before. It was also because of his stubbornness like a fool that he was able to achieve the martial arts he had today at such a young age. It was because he fought like a madman that he had the heart of Tai Chi that allowed people to enter a higher level of the martial arts world. It was also because of his meteoric rise that the pressure on the family due to his father's accident was greatly reduced. Because of his rapid growth, no matter who scolded his grandfather as a cripple or who scolded his father as trash, the Fang family only needed to refute with, My grandson is stronger than you. The Yi family had given the Fang family too much, and the Fang family owed Yi Rou too much. Yi Fengsheng widened his eyes and looked at Fang Yan and said, Fang Yan, did my sister beat you silly? What did you just say? You thanked my sister? Thanked my sister for beating you? I'm not silly. On the contrary, she beat me until I became smarter. Fang Yan said with a smile. The heart of Tai Chi indeed had the effect of improving the human body's functions and developing the brain's intelligence. With the heart of Tai Chi, Fang Yan was indeed smarter than before. He felt refreshed. Ordinary people would feel more clear-headed when they felt good. This was especially true for martial artists like Fang Yan, whose physical qualities were superior to ordinary people. Fang Yan, who did not have the heart of Taiji, was in the wonton stage. Most people were in the chaos stage. However, with the heart of Taiji, he had reached the realm of enlightenment. Yi Fengsheng's mouth was agape for a long time and he forgot to close it. He took a few gulps of cold air before he came to his senses. He stared at Fang Yan warily and said, Fang Yan, tell me, what do you want from us this time? Based on his understanding of Fang Yan, he was a fellow who refused to be taken advantage of, be it in words or actions. It would be like cutting a mosquito's leg if you tried to take advantage of him. Today, he gave gifts and expressed his gratitude. His attitude was so humble. What bad intentions did he have? Fang Yan looked at Yi Fengsheng helplessly and said, It's almost the new year. so I just wanted to visit the old man and have a chat with you, Ruru. Yi Fengsheng sneered again and said, you still want to chase after my sister. I'll say the same thing, you can't see my sister. No one in the Yi clan will object to you, except for me. Fang Yan looked at Yi Fengsheng and said tenderly, Fengsheng, are we good friends? Yi Fengsheng's hair suddenly stood up. He stared at Fang Yan carefully and said, you used to call me little fatty. Friend? Forget it, I guess. What do you want? I want to talk to your family. Can you help me tell them? It's useless. No one wants to object. If you wanted to see them, you would have seen them already. Why did you have to wait here for so long? Then why are you taking me to the warm pavilion? Would I dare to take you to the warm pavilion without the ancestors' permission? Would I still want to live? As a friend, are you going to watch me come here for nothing? Are you not willing to help me with anything? I'm willing to close my eyes for you. Yi Fengsheng said. After saying this joke that he thought was very funny, he noticed that Fang Yan was looking at him with a playful gaze. Yi Fengsheng's heart jumped again and said, Little Fang, don't look at me like that. I feel like you see me as a prey in your cage. You know, I can't help you with anything. Who told me to speak so lightly in the Yi clan? You can obviously help. Fang Yan said. I owe you a favor. Fang Yan said. Yi Fengsheng, this big fatso who weighed almost 200 pounds, suddenly jumped up from the rosewood chair and ran out of the hall without looking back. His two fat legs spun in the air, as if he was performing some kind of magical footwork. He was indeed using the Yi clan's colorful fallen leaves, which was also a great footwork technique in the inner Jianghu. It wasn't ranked below the Fang clan's plum blossom steps. Moreover, the name of the other's footwork was better and sounded more pretentious. Colorful fallen leaves had the surname Yi in it, but the plum blossom steps didn't have the word Fang in it. However, he was still one step too slow. As soon as he jumped, Fang Yan had already started his attack. He used autumn wind sweeping fallen leaves to slow down Yi Fengsheng's escape, then he attacked Yi Fengsheng from behind like a hungry tiger. Yi Fengsheng, I brought a gift as a guest. What right do you have to insult me? Fang Yan kicked Yi Fengsheng's butt. Yi Fengsheng, you despicable person, you dare to hurt people. Don't think that just because this is the Yi clan, I'm afraid of you. Fang Yan's fist landed on Yi Fengsheng's back, causing him to stumble forward and then fall headfirst into the courtyard's snowy ground. Yi Fengsheng, if you don't give me an explanation today, I'll fight you to the death. When Fang Yan was about to step on Yi Fengsheng's back, he felt that this action was a bit too much, so he quickly lay down beside Yi Fengsheng and punched him in the back. Yi Fengsheng's mouth was filled with ice and snow, and he cried out in pain. Fang Yan hugged Yi Fengsheng's fat body and punched him in the chest again and again. He shouted hoarsely, Yi Fengsheng, you must give me an explanation today. Your Yi clan must give me an explanation. When Fang Yan was satisfied, a thunderous shout exploded, Stop! Fang Yan really stopped. Yi Fengsheng, who had broken free, punched Fang Yan in the chest, then pressed his fat body onto Fang Yan's body and grabbed his neck. He shouted, Fang Yan, I'm going to kill you today. Pull him away, Yi Daowen said with a frown. Thus, the servants behind him rushed over and pulled Yi Fengsheng away from Fang Yan's body. Fang Yan crawled up from the ground, brushed off the ice and snow on his body, and smoothed out the wrinkles on his clothes. He glared at Yi Daowen and said, Is this how your Yi clan treats its guests? I came to visit with a generous gift, but you refused to see me, not even giving me a cup of hot tea. Fang Yan pointed at Yi Fengsheng and sneered, letting a despicable person come and mock me, and then attack me. Is this how your Yi clan treats its guests? Is this how your Yi clan treats its guests? Am I wrong? Aren't you a coward? Running away from home and refusing to fight? Everyone in Swallow Dock told you to run away, so why can't I? How about I hit you? Are you asking for it? You want to flirt with my cousin? Why don't you take a piss and look at yourself? You dare to insult me? I'll fight you to the death today. Who's afraid of who? When have the men of the Yi clan been afraid of anyone? Shut up! Yi Daowen roared again. Are you two done with your acting? Fang Yan looked at Yi Daowen with a surprised expression and said, Uncle Yi, you saw through it. Who can you fool with such insignificant tricks? Yi Daowen sneered. Fang Yan looked at Yi Fengxing with resentment in his eyes and said, Fengxing, I told you that your trick of injuring yourself to gain the confidence of others won't work. Such a small trick might work on Li Xiaotian and the others, but trying to trick a dragon among men like Uncle Yi is like playing with a big knife in front of Guan Yu, seeking death. Yi Fengxing felt suffocated in his chest, and something filled his eyes. He said, Haven't you achieved your goal? Uncle is coming out. Yi Daowen looked at Yi Fengxing, then looked at Fang Yan. He snorted coldly and said, What kind of nonsense is this? Fang Yan stepped forward and bowed respectfully to Yi Daowen, and said, Uncle Yi, I've let you laugh at me. Fengxing is my best friend, and he made this suggestion for my sake. Although it's a bit stupid, it's all for my own good. If Uncle Yi wants to blame someone, then blame me. Yi Fengxing's face was ashen. This Fang Ran wasn't like this before. How could he be so shameless? His kung fu had improved greatly after this trip, and even his face had become thicker. Yi Daowen's expression became a bit better. He looked at the young man in front of him and said, Fang Yan, you guys forced us to come out with this martial act. Now that I'm out, what do you want to talk to me about? Yi Daowen felt a bit emotional. He was too familiar with this Fang Yan in front of him. There were dozens of children in Swallow Dock who were similar in age to Fang Yan, but Fang Yan was undoubtedly the most special one. And because Fang Yan and his daughter Yi Ro competed in martial arts every year, he understood Fang Yan even more comprehensively. The Fang family's martial arts genius, the leader of Swallow Dock's younger generation, the youngest Dao comprehender in the domain of Tai Chi given time, his achievements would be limitless. However, because of his independence, because of his various shameless and outrageous actions, his character was questioned. You might not like such a young man, but you couldn't ignore him. Because his name would always appear in your ears, and his figure would always appear in front of your eyes. It couldn't be erased, and it couldn't be expelled. Yi Daowen asked this question so formally, but Fang Yan didn't know how to answer. After a long silence, he said seriously, I'm here to find Yi Ro. Chapter 334. The snow stopped for the moment, but it was still cold. Everyone standing in the courtyard felt the cold wind blowing into their necks. Their clothes and skin seemed to be separated into two different extremes, with no intention of warming each other. Logically speaking, whether it was Yi Daowen, Fang Yan, Yi Fengxing, or the Yi family servants, everyone here practiced martial arts and had strong resistance to the cold. There was no reason for them to feel so cold. However, after hearing Fang Yan say, I'm here to see Yi Ro, they suddenly felt that the cold was hard to resist. Yi Fengxing quickly signaled to Fang Yan with his eyes and said, Didn't you say you were going to kowtow to our ancestor? Do you think our ancestor will see you? Hurry up and go back. It's snowing heavily right now, and our ancestor won't see outsiders. Yi Daowen frowned slightly. His sharp eyes swept across Fang Yan's face, and he didn't say anything for a long time. This arrogant and conceited guy said he was here to see his daughter in front of his father. Isn't he afraid that I'll beat him to death and bury him in the courtyard as fertilizer? What's his relationship with Yi Ro? Did something unpredictable happen in Yi Ro's trip to the City of Flowers? Fang Yan looked at Yi Fengxing gratefully and said, I originally wanted to say that I'm here to thank the Yi family, but I know that it would be more solemn and respectful if Grandpa said it. In Uncle Ye's eyes, I'm still a child. Just a junior. I do want to kowtow to the ancestor. After going out for so long, it's natural for me to kowtow and say some blessings to the old man after coming back. It's also a courtesy that a junior should perform. However, I came to the Yi family to see Yi Ro. I didn't come to challenge her, nor did I come to fight her. We've been fighting for more than 10 years, and I've also been beaten by her for more than 10 years. I just want to say thank you. I really am very grateful to her. Fang Yan chose to tell the truth. Fang Yan was a smart person, so he knew from a young age that it was best to be frank and direct when talking to smart people. Most importantly, do not think that you are the smartest person in the world, because you do not know who is smarter than you. He didn't think that Yi Daowen was more stupid than him, so he didn't dare to lie in the slightest. If he said that he was here to thank the Yi clan for their kindness, then Yi Dawen would have waved his hand and sent him back. He couldn't see Yi Ro at all. Why? Yi Dawen's brows knit together, and the worry in his heart grew even stronger. His daughter was at the most critical stage of her life, and he did not want to be affected by a love entanglement with a young boy. Most importantly, he didn't want that person to be Fang Yen. Fang Yen looked at Yi Dawen with a calm expression. There was no inferiority complex, no shame, no complacency, and no embarrassment. His expression was calm, his eyes pure, as if this matter was reasonable. A person who is willing to continuously beat his defeated opponent for 10 years, Fang Yen said with a smile. I don't think it's easy. It's also something to remember and be grateful for. Yi Dawen's brows relaxed, and a rare smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. He said, Do you understand? I understand. Fang Yen said. The Fang clan has produced an amazing talent. Yi Dawen said with emotion. He turned around to look at Yi Fengxing and said, Go to the warm pavilion and ask the ancestor if she is willing to let the Fang clan's boy go in and kowtow to her. Yi Dawen glanced at Fang Yen, then turned around and left. Yi Fengxing quickly walked in front of Fang Yen, punched Fang Yan's chest, and scolded, You bastard, I was almost beaten to death by you just now. Didn't I also lie still and let you punch me a few times to vent your anger? Fang Yen said with a smile. At least you still have some conscience. This was clearly your plan. Why did you put it on me? What do you mean by stupid? Would I come up with such a stupid plan? Yi Fengxing said in annoyance. It's also to increase credibility. Besides, if I said I came up with this plan, what would Uncle Yi think of me? He would think you're a despicable person. Yi Fengxing said. If you say I came up with this plan, what would he think of me? He would think that there's something wrong with your IQ. But it shouldn't be because of your character. So you're more suitable than me to take this blame. Yi Fengxing rubbed the sore part of his face and angrily said, Are we really good friends? Why do I feel like I'm the one who treats you as a friend, but you don't treat me as a friend at all? If I didn't treat you as a good friend, would I trick you? Fang Yen softly comforted, Of course not. Those who aren't my good friends don't have the right to be tricked by me. You tricked by Xiu. You tricked by Li Lu. You tricked Lu Jing. You tricked Li Xiaoyun. Don't tell me you treat them as good friends? Everything has two sides, you're different from them, Fang Yen hurriedly explained. You're the fatso with the most sense of justice in my heart. Yi Fengxing sighed and said, Wait here, I'll go to the warm pavilion and ask for you. Wait. Fang Yen shouted. He ran to the living room and took out the large pile of gifts from the table, stuffed them all into Yi Fengxing's arms, and said, Tell the ancestor, just say that this is my filial gift to her. Be more subtle, don't say it too bluntly, it's like we're showing off. Yi Fengxing helplessly shook his head and said, How could she refuse you like this? Then don't refuse, Fang Yen said with a smile. The warm pavilion was very large, made up of several connected rooms. There was a fire dragon burning under the room, so the room was as warm as spring, very comfortable. And because the ground heating was very dry, there were many green plants planted on the left and right sides of the main room. Red peppers, green cucumbers, and a ground full of big watermelons, looking red and green alternating, growing delightfully. In one of the rooms, an old lady was picking cucumbers on her toes. Yi Ro was carrying a small basket next to her. The basket was already half full of tender cucumbers. Wash them with snow water, take a bite, or mix them with sauce. They were all excellent dishes to go with wine. The maid, was standing on the side, chattering, reporting what she had just seen to the ancestor and the eldest Mississippi. Originally, no one paid attention to him. I also thought he would feel bored after a while and leave by himself. I didn't expect young Master Feng Xing to leave. Young Master Feng Xing chatted with him for a while. I don't know what they said, but Feng Paopai and young Master Feng Xing started to fight. It seems that young Master Feng Xing insulted him and also scolded him. Humph, isn't he Feng Paopai? People in Swallow Dock all call him that. Later, the eldest master came out. He asked Sichuan and Yi Ming to separate them, and now he is talking with Feng Paopai. I saw Feng Paopai glanced at me, and then he ran away quickly. The ancestor picked a cucumber with a small flower and put it in the basket, glanced at Yi Ro who was carrying the basket, and said, "In order to force his grandson to work hard, Grandpa provoked our Yi family for 10 years. Since you defeated him for the first time, your father and the others were ready to ignore this matter, but you couldn't stand the provocation, so you competed with him for 10 years. In this way, you got yourself a bad reputation of barbarism and violence, but you were still entangled with the Fong family and couldn't get away. When people talked about the Yi family, they would inevitably mention the Fong family. When the Fong family was mentioned, they would inevitably mention our Yi family. The competition between you two every year became an interesting story outside. Because of this, your father and his two brothers were very angry. Why did they entangle with the Fong family for no reason?" Yi Ro opened her mouth slightly, but she didn't say anything in the end. She didn't like to explain. The ancestor didn't need her to explain. She quietly carried the basket with an indifferent expression and lowered her eyelids. The white snow outside the window reflected her snow-white cheeks, making her whole body covered with a layer of white light. She was like the white plum tree in the yard, which was still silently blooming in the wind and snow. From a distance, it was a tree of snowflakes, but when you walked closer, you would find that there were one or two countless white flowers blooming on the pitch-black branches. They were as white as the snow, but the snow lost the fragrance of the yard. Whoever planted the crops, who harvested the millet. Whoever planted the seedlings, who picked the melons and fruits. If you had stopped after winning the first competition 10 years ago, there wouldn't have been such a thing later. Since you have been fighting with him for 10 years, it is also fate, and you have to end these things by yourself. The old lady's hair was thin and silver, like the fishing line used for fishing. Her skin was dry without any moisture, but the smile on her face was warm and peaceful. She had lived for 100 years, been exposed to wind and rain for 100 years, and witnessed the changes of the world for 100 years. Her eyes were sharper than everyone else's, and she was more accurate in judging people. Yi Ro still didn't speak. Dong, dong, dong. Yi Fengsheng trembled as he walked in. Seeing the ancestor who was picking cucumbers, he carried a large pile of gifts and ran over, saying, "Ancestor, Fong Yen went out for a trip, and today he came to visit, saying that he wants to kowtow to you." He used his chin to point at the gifts in his arms and said, "These are all sent by him, saying that they are gifts for the ancestor. Eldest uncle told me to ask the ancestor, do you want him to go into the warm pavilion and kowtow to you?" After saying that, he handed the gifts to Sheer beside him, and then waited expectantly for the ancestor's reply. The ancestor picked another cucumber and held it in her hand. She used her rough palm to stroke the fine thorns on the cucumber, then turned to look at Yi Ro and said, "Whether to see him or not, it is up to you to decide." Chapter 335. Yi Fengsheng glanced at Fong Yen as he led the way. Fong Yen grew impatient and said, "What are you trying to say? What's your relationship with my sister?" Yi Fengsheng asked in confusion. When the ancestor asked Yi Ro if she wanted to see Fong Yen, Yi Ro said, "I beat him up for 10 years. It's too easy for him to come here and kowtow to me." Although her words were belittling to Fong Yen, she still asked the ancestor to see Fong Yen. This question confused Fong Yen. What was his relationship with Yi Ro? Friends? Not really. She used to be the person he hated the most. If Yi Ro was the second most hated person in his heart, then no one could be the first. Of course, with the addition of the general's order, he firmly occupied the first position, which was as stable as Mount Tai. He wouldn't be shaken in a short time. Enemy? It wasn't appropriate to say that. Fong Yen knew she wasn't his enemy. Which enemy would risk their life to save the other when they were in danger? Strangers? No, Yi Ro was definitely the person and woman Fong Yen was most familiar with in the world. Fong Yen hesitated for a long time and said with certainty, "Comrades. We are comrades." Comrades? Yi Fengsheng opened his mouth and said, "What comrades? Why do I feel like you're up to no good?" Slap. Fong Yen slapped Yi Fengsheng's fat head. Because his head was too big and his neck was too thick, he couldn't dodge Fong Yan's attack at all. Fang Yen was so angry that his face turned purple and his body trembled. He said, "Don't insult the pure friendship between me and your sister." Yi Fengxing was furious and said, "You already said we're comrades. How can it be pure friendship?" Yi Fengxing. A cold voice was heard. Yi Fengxing heard the familiar voice. His face twisted and his fat twitched. He was so scared that he didn't even dare to turn his head. He knew he was tricked by Fang Yen again. He clearly saw his cousin in front of him, but he still tried to tempt her to say such words. "Let me tell you, Fang Yen. You can insult me, but you can't insult my sister. Otherwise, as your brother, I won't let you off." Yi Fengxing pretended that he didn't hear what Fang Yen said and threatened Fang Yen with a flushed face. After saying this, he turned to look at Yi Ro and said with a surprised expression, "Sister, why did you come out? Hurry inside, it's cold outside." Yi Ro didn't respond. She just looked at Fang Yen indifferently. Fang Yen also looked at Yi Ro. Their eyes met and fought. In a world of ice and snow, everything was white. The ice spines hung upside down, and the well water froze. The snow under his feet was like a white carpet, and the snow in the sky was like flying cotton. A white plum tree quietly bloomed. The white flowers could not be seen, but one could smell the fragrance that filled the courtyard. One was a handsome young man, and the other was a beautiful girl. A great battle could break out at any moment, and the atmosphere was oppressive to the extreme. Fang Yen threw a, "I haven't seen your eyes for a long time," but it was sent flying by Yi Ro's, "I hate your eyes when I see you." Fang Yen didn't give up and used, "Beautiful eyes" again. Yi Ro was furious and directly used, "Get out of here eyes," to cut him into pieces. Fang Yen didn't want to be outdone. He used his ultimate skill, "How will I live without you," and silently sent it over. Yi Ro used, "Go to hell eyes, blind your dog eyes, you despicable, dirty, shameless bastard eyes," and other killer moves, but still couldn't defeat Fang Yan's ultimate skill. This round, Fang Yan won. Yi Fengxing looked at Fang Yan, then looked at Yi Ro and asked with confusion, "What are you two doing?" Fang Yan glanced at him with disdain and didn't waste time to explain anything to him. His level was too low, so he didn't know that an earth-shattering battle had just happened in front of him. Fang Yan looked at Yi Ro and said, "You came to pick me up?" Yi Ro's expression was slightly stiff. She didn't know how to answer his question. She did come out to welcome Fang Yan. Fang Yan came to kowtow to the ancestor with generous gifts. The ancestor didn't need to come out to welcome him, but as a junior, she had to come out to show her acceptance and gratitude. However, Fang Yan said receive instead of welcome. If she nodded, it would feel like a little wife coming to take her husband home. Fang Yan strode toward Yi Ro and said with a smile, "We're family, no need to be so polite. Long time no see, how are you?" "I'm fine," Yi Ro said. "As long as you're fine," Fang Yan said. "I have a lot to say to you, a lot of questions to ask." Yi Ro blushed, then instantly returned to her original indifference. She was annoyed and thought, "What's wrong with this guy? This is the Yi clan, how dare he say something like this? Isn't he afraid that the Yi clan will beat him to death and bury him as fertilizer for the flowers?" She clenched and unclenched her fists, feeling a little uneasy. In the past, she didn't know what uneasiness was because there was nothing worth her uneasiness. However, at that moment she understood. "I'll go kowtow to the ancestor first, then we'll go for a walk," Fang Yan said. "Shihezi is frozen, let's go skating, okay?" Fang Yan knew she wouldn't agree, but she didn't refuse. Yi Fengxing's eyes widened, looking at Fang Yan as if he had seen a ghost. "My cousin beat up Fang Yan like that, and he still wants to hit on my cousin? Didn't he see that my cousin's face was red with anger? Didn't he know that my cousin's fists were clenched?" Fang Yan glanced at Yi Fengxing and said, "Fengxing, let's go kowtow to the ancestor." Yi Fengxing finally reacted and carefully looked at his cousin. Then, he took Fang Yan around where his cousin was standing and went into the pavilion to kowtow to the ancestor. Fang Yan saw the white-haired old man sitting on the pit eating cucumber and fell to his knees. After kowtowing 3 times, he got up and said, "Ancestor, Fang Yan kowtows to you." Your complexion is getting better and younger than the last time I saw you. Ancestor should be 80 years old this year, right? Gotcha. The ancestor took a bite of cucumber and chewed it with the 2 remaining teeth in her mouth. She looked at Fang Yen and said, "The Fang clan's boy is thoughtful, but his flattery isn't good. If I was only 80 years old, would Wenro's grandfather call me sister or mother?" Yi Ro, who was standing beside the ancestor, couldn't help laughing. She originally wanted to endure it, but she really couldn't. A beauty's smile was like a flower, and all flowers were colorless. It was the first time that Fang Yen saw Yi Ro smile, so happily and joyfully. She tried hard to control it, but she couldn't. That embarrassed and angry expression added a touch of cuteness to her. At this moment, Yi Ro was really cute. Thus, for the first time, Fang Yen found Yi Ro quite cute. Fang Yen looked at Yi Ro with a dull expression, and the others also looked at Fang Yen with dull expressions. This guy, didn't he know what restraint was? Yi Fengsheng snorted twice and reminded, "Fang Yen, the ancestor is asking you." He somewhat regretted bringing Fang Yen to see the ancestor. The ancestor usually treasured his cousin the most. If she saw Fang Yan's perverted appearance, she only needed to complain, and it was estimated that Fang Yen and the Fang clan would not be able to enter the Yi clan in the future. If he wanted to pick up girls, he could do it anywhere. Why did he come to the house? Ask me what? Fang Yen turned around and asked blankly. Thus, this time, not only Yi Ro was laughing, but even the ancestor was laughing from ear to ear. Sheer, who was sitting by the bed and massaging the ancestor's legs, also laughed, and Yi Fengsheng laughed so hard that his eyes couldn't be found. The ancestor pointed at Fang Yen, panted and said, "You hairy monkey, you just came to make me laugh, right?" Fang Yen also laughed and said, "When you laugh, you look 10 years younger. When you laugh like this, you look 10 years younger. Now you are only 70 years old. Make it up. You can continue to make up stories." The old ancestor couldn't eat the cucumber anymore and said with a smile. Fang Yen had a troubled expression and said, "Ancestor, I really can't make it up anymore. You look like 70 years old. If I make it up again, then I'll be lying to you." The entire room was filled with laughter. Fang Yen was basically a crosstalk actor brought back by Monkey Sunday. After everyone laughed for a while, the ancestor looked at Fang Yen and said, "I heard you went to Huaqing to be a teacher?" "Yes, ancestor," Fang Yen nodded. "Being a teacher is a serious matter. Teaching and dispelling doubts is a great merit," the ancestor said. "I've never thought about merit, I just like being a teacher. I'm very happy when I'm with my students, I like their innocent smiles. When I'm with them, I don't have any worries, every day is very fulfilling," Fang Yen said in a very noble manner. The ancestor was stunned for a while, then said, "I originally thought of a few words to praise you, but after you said that, I can't even say those words. All right, you've kowtowed, you've said everything you need to say, go do what you need to do. Then I won't disturb ancestor from eating the cucumber," Fang Yen said with a smile. He walked in front of Yi Ro and said, "Let's go ice skating?" Yi Ro looked at Fang Yen and didn't respond. "This bastard son of a bitch. Is this how you invite people? You're saying this in front of the ancestor, how can I say yes? Didn't we agree just now?" Fang Yen was anxious. "I really have a lot of things I want to say to you, a lot of questions I want to ask you." The ancestor looked at Fang Yen in surprise. "Why does it feel like he's about to confess?" Yi Ro clenched her fist and said angrily, "What do you want to say? Say it here." "That won't do," Fang Yen refused. "These words can only be said to you alone." You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.